Action.
Okay.
So, this is the
Coping box.
coping box. Talking to the mic, Paulie.
All right. Welcome. We're still learning.
Separate episode of talking into the microphones. So, we did one and it was really cool. And I'm still bloody editing, but by the time you watch this, it's obviously finished. And we had a really cool special guest. And we're backing it up with another pretty cool one, man.
This is, I know, right?
I feel like we peaked and now we're peaking again. How do you go down up from here? I don't know.
12-year-old me is peaking right now.
All right, shall we see who's here?
Yeah, let's see if he's here.
All right, drum roll, please. You're the next contestant on The Price is Right. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Cesar
Mora.
Come in, man. All right,
welcome.
Safe?
Yeah.
Safe as houses, man. Welcome to the house. The box.
The coping box. Welcome to the coping box.
Become a 2-episode tradition now. Welcome aboard. So, Cesar Mora won a lot of stuff in the 90s and in the 2000s. He was in a really old video called The Bottom Line. There he is, his name's in the credits. There's a copy over there.
Front cover of a video game as well? Did you have the front cover in Australia?
No, the name was up.
The name was up, okay.
It was going to be front cover and then things happened around the world like 9/11 and...
9/11, 2001. Alright, so what shifted in 9/11 in 2001?
Couldn't travel, couldn't do a lot of the motion capture stuff with the video. From when we started the video game, Vert kind of just took a dip and street, became a bit more popular, so made sense to add Fabiola because she was starting to skate with the men, and add John Julio as the cover of the...
There was a shift in the Vert Street plateau, landscape. Rivalry. No, let's not say rivalry. There was never a rivalry, or was there? We're going to get into all of these things. We've got a little list of stuff. We got a list in here. So, as we were saying to Cess before the show started, we're not here to talk about history or business or how to as much.
That's been covered, right?
It's been covered because this guy's been on other podcasts. They're all really good. The Mad Beef one, the Power Movement. And tonight we're talking about tricks.
Into tricks, style. What is style? What makes rollerblading aesthetically pleasing?
Trick theory with the master of the craft, one of the masters of the craft, but specifically Vert. So street and Cesar aren't like two words that went in the same sentence.
We were
very
friends.
often.
We were friends.
And it's
then
true.
We had a falling out and a lot of falls.
Oh really? Was there one particular fight you guys had?
Yeah, there was one rail in the city and it, when...
Can skate street.
There it is.
Can skate the street.
I started skating. But when you find your lane, everyone finds their lane. And I like street, and we used to go out and do fun city skates and rails and all that, but I started finding myself on a street skate wanting to go to the ramp.
Yeah. So... You said stay in your lane. You said you find
your
your lane.
Let's find your lane.
You find
it's
your
a pretty
lane.
easy lane.
How old were you when you found that Vert was your lane? And did you make up your mind, or was it just like, I just haven't even bolted lately?
Man, I'm just gonna say it's a pretty easy, not easy lane to find, but you got Bondi Beach Vert Ramp as a lane, man. That's.
That was a pretty bumpy lane though.
Yeah, bumpy lane, but man,
shocking ramp.
What an outlook though, right? So let's go skate a grimy rail in the city versus a beach ramp. That's.
Yeah, it was a beautiful place to skate, but The ramp itself was a piece of...
You skated the old Paran ramp as well.
That was another piece of...
Alright, which was worse?
I hated that ramp.
Which was worse?
I like Bondi better only because I got used to it. Because I was used to it.
They're both shit boxes, you just knew how to drive one of them.
Yeah, one was... I just didn't like the... I never had enough time on Paran to get comfortable. There was not a time where I linked 2-3 airs together and I was comfortable.
Yeah.
I just hated it.
Wow.
Slippery, bumpy. Just when it was hot, it was like a wok. I just didn't... The platform with the coping thing, like flush like that, I just didn't like it. At least Bondi, I knew the monster I was dealing with, the bad surface. The coping on the other side, Tony Hawk came to the beach and did a demo one day and the coping rolled off. It was shocking. It was rusted from like the salt air and the council geniuses used to like paint it with an epoxy resin. So that's like a glue.
Yeah.
Glue.
You don't slide out on those tricks.
And on the windiest days, so all the sand would land on the ramp and it was like sandpaper.
Yeah.
On top of already being grippy.
Yeah.
And you couldn't see where you were because it was so grey. You had no point of reference. That's why we'd get a spray can and just draw a line across. And they'd come across and say, hey, what are you doing? Well, like, look, I'm trying to explain to you that we can't see because it's so glary. You need a point of reference. You go, okay, no problem. But I used to skate street. Started skating street and I fell in love with skating by skating street, skating downstairs, catching on the back of cars, jumping, whatever it was at the time. It was just an adventure. And then I went to Bondi and I see these kids skating the mini ramp and then a couple of them skating the vert. I was like, wow, that's just amazing. And they're going backwards. To me it was mind blowing. And I was still playing soccer at the time and I was just skating because it was fun. For transport actually, I was just skating around. And then I got on the ramp and just ate it with my soccer shorts. And
were any of these kids that were there that you were looking up to, did you have mentors back then that we would know about today? Anyone that was significant?
There was a kid called Micro at Bondi. He was only 13 at the time, was 12 or probably, but he looked like he was 8.
He was called Micro. I love this.
But he had a beautiful style. He was really good. He could even skate the vert, inverts, which back then was ridiculous. He was so small.
What year is this? Like 93?
Late 93, 94.
Yeah, right. Okay.
I started when I started skating when I was 23 years old.
Yeah.
So I was still playing soccer at the same time as I started skating. There was another kid called Rafi. He was the same age but a bit bigger. Smart ass little kid but really, really talented. I mean, these kids were on their skates all day.
Yeah.
Where they went to the toilet, the shops, maybe they'd go for a swim, take their skates off and come. Like, that, they didn't have shoes. It was so natural on the ramps, and I turned up and I was fascinated by it and I dropped in on the mini and what a lesson. Just ate it, went away, went to Waterloo.
Yep.
Skate park now. It used to have a vert ramp.
Fernside, right? Is that what it was?
No,
No.
Waterloo.
Yeah.
Oval. Now it's a skate park.
Yeah.
Nice now.
Is that the blue one that all the city boys just cut laps around?
The Wednesday session. So when Richie and stuff were here, they've got like a bunch of edits from there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's next to an oval. It's nice now. It's nice how they've done it, but more skateboard oriented. But it used to have a rusty 9-foot vert, and that was alright. But it had a 1-foot mini.
1 foot mini. How tall was the Bondi vert?
That was only 9 or 9,
okay.
9.5. 10.
Brand was 10.
They'd say 10, but...
How tall was the mini?
Bondi.
5 feet?
6.
Yeah, cool.
What was that compared to Manly Mini? Like you had Manly Vert and the old Mini that was next to it. Similar sort of setup to that, or
Manly Vert that turned into the Mini.
Yeah, correct. But there was that old Mini ramp
made out of the old vert ramp. Did literally
because that old vert ramp was made upside down. The vert went
no kidding.
No transition. They made it upside down. So the best idea was just to chop it, make it a mini.
Josh Pincus said that he was spewing that he didn't, before they tore down the Bondi Mini, he didn't go down there with a giant piece of cardboard just to trace the transition so that he could replicate it, because he said it was the best transition.
It was everyone said it was one of the best transitions. If it was a bit wider, would have been beautiful.
Pretty sure I've got like a Telstra phone card, the old floppy one,
the
OG phone card before they even had like hard card. Does anyone actually use a payphone? It's 2020, but Yeah, I've got one with the Bondi Mini, some rollerblader doing an air, and some kid in a payphone in the
No,
foreground.
you could actually air on it. Like it had a really wicked transition that you could air on it. Like for example, I used to jump off the back rail into it.
Yeah.
It's no big deal. It's only a little ramp, but fakey air over people's hands.
Yeah, no
on
kidding.
a mini ramp, which is I wouldn't do that.
Yeah.
You know, in my vert days, that's just stupid. But you could get that air on that mini ramp, but you could also grind beautifully. It just popped you up perfectly for everything.
Here's one. What's the best aerial trick you ever did on a mini?
You mean like spins and all?
Yeah.
I've done 900s.
You've done a 900 on a mini?
Yeah, we had to.
There you go.
Because we had to because look, we went to a lot of places like Colombia, Peru, and where they tell you, hey, come, we have a vert ramp in the back, in the back of the shop, and you get to the shop, and me and Tim and Renee were just going
a 3-foot mini or something.
No, it was literally like the size of Bondi.
Yeah, right.
But without the transition, so you really had to on purpose throw things out. Onto the flat so you could kind of land on the transition. And we had to do shows in front of these kids that were waiting for us for months. On this mini.
They're expecting you to perform, right? So they're like, I want to see what I see on the TV or whatever.
And my stubbornness, I would always do the best I could. And leave every kid that watched me skate with some sort of an impression. I mean, we skated a ramp in Uruguay that was made out of fruit boxes and like a 8 foot, 9 foot. The coping was dodgy. If you put your foot on the platform in the wrong spot, your skate would go through the ramp. But we just did whatever we could, the best we could. That's one thing I learned from Tony Hawk. I did quite a few shows with him. We did the Olympics in '96, the closing ceremony for Atlanta. He's so professional. I mean, he gets paid a lot of money, right? But he'll turn up to a kid's party. He'll turn up to a show at the Easter show. He'll turn up whatever, and the crappiest ramps or the best ramps or 5 people or 10,000 people, and he will do the same, and he will do the best. He won't cheat. There's a lot of people that cheat when they do shows because you can hang out the back and it's your go. Pretend you're tying up your skates, and then 3 more guys go and you're looking over the back. And then by the end of the show, you've done nothing. You've collected the same amount of money. You
got away with it, and the boss isn't angry because he didn't really notice
it. Yeah, but Tony would never be like that. He would always be super professional. And
it's like Michael Jordan. He said, I wanted to make sure every single person that showed up to watch me play got the experience they wanted.
Except Tony Hawk was nice to people.
Ooh.
Well, yes. Okay. That's why we value him as one of the great people.
And I can tell you that.
Not just a great athlete.
I can tell you that from someone personally who drove Michael Jordan around for years when we were in Chicago, and it shocked me because
that's awesome.
I didn't want to hear that, but he wasn't the nicest person to
well, some of the great artists aren't necessarily the nicest humans, and so when they are both, it's a bonus.
Correct.
You turned out alright. You're a bit of a freaking artist, and you didn't get the rock star mentality, and you stayed obviously a nice guy, which is what made you marketable.
Well, they don't let you here in Australia.
What?
They don't let you.
As an arsehole.
They don't let you. Your helmet's always got to fit your head, I tell kids.
Yeah.
And they don't let you get too big for your, so that's why I always like coming back. I could have lived in America. It was just a bit, not surreal, but it's just a bit, it's a bit much.
Unreal? Everything wasn't real?
Everything's emphasised and there's so much hype, and I like getting away come back to Australia. Spend my summer here with people I know, skate every second day.
That separation?
Yeah, loved it. And then go back, get ready for the limelight, get ready for the comps, and get ready for the travelling. Because it's not easy. I know it sounds easy, but travelling constantly, week in, week out, skating, performing, it's not easy. So you got to be geared for it. So I get ready for it, but I like coming back and just being. I have the same friends now that I had when I was skating that I had before I was skating.
So
stay a nice guy. Nice guy. So
traveling, just on the traveling thing, it's interesting though, right? Because people say, I can't wait, I want to travel, I want to do that. Yeah. But every time you go on a skate trip and you travel, you're so weathered because you're hurt, you're tired. It's always.
And that's if things go well.
If
your plane doesn't crash or your plane doesn't stall, or what happens when you get to Baltimore and your competition's tomorrow morning and your suitcase hasn't arrived. Whose skates are you going to use? Can you compete? That's $5,000 on the line for you that you're not going to get because you can't skate tomorrow.
Because back then you didn't even have to win to get some money.
No. And did you eat something bad the night before? You've been waiting for this for 6 months. you ate something bad the night before. You got, like, the night before I did the Gravity Games finals, bad ham sandwich or whatever in the athlete's tent, spewing all night, lost about 4 kilos. I was, like, dehydrated, like, could barely, my legs were like jelly. You don't plan for those things.
Yeah.
Then you got to get on a plane, maybe the next morning, 6 in the morning, go to the airport, get 3 stops to go all the way back to LA, to go somewhere to do appearances. You want to sign stuff all day that you don't really want to put a happy face on for.
So this is getting pretty significantly professional. How did you maintain during this routine and this lifestyle, as an artist, progression in your skating?
Yeah.
It's kind of
how
like
did you find
I recorded
like,
this new music and then I played it to the audience for 2 years, toured on the album. Well, how do you find time to create new music? When did you find, all right, now's the expression session, I'm going to create some tricks? Who's that?
Is that me?
I think it's...
Okay, it's my girlfriend, sorry.
Hey, I beg your pardon, fiancé?
Fiancé, that's right.
Oh.
So, I've always been creative, no matter what. If it's juggling a ball, playing yo-yo, if it's drawing a bit on something on paper, and skating's actually, like, inducive to that. Like, everyone's doing 360s the same way.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to do it with my right leg, or I'm going to do it this way.
Here we go.
Right?
If you've just tuned in, we're just slipping into the next phase of this conversation.
No, this is a good phase. And I've got papers and papers of things that I would write down. And I would write down at 360, and I would write down every possible, like, variation for it. Then 540 and the same. And you'd find that you can't do the same variation grab with a 360 as you can with a 540 a lot of the times, because the angle's different. The 360 you're throwing it back, but with the 540 you're throwing it over. So a lot of grabs don't work properly, or they don't look as good, or they don't feel as good, or you don't have enough time to do that grab in that rotation, so you throw it in the 720, where you've got more time to actualize the whole grab. Then, okay, so for me, let's talk about style, right? Let's be honest. My style was shit when I started. I had no skating background. I started skating at 23. I was a soccer player, and I was playing state league, first division at the time, and skating. So I'm getting paid to play.
Sorry to interject. In soccer, there's style between the players. You would have noticed it as a creative person kicking the ball around on the sidelines.
It's more about results.
Yeah. But would you say you were a stylish soccer player?
Yeah. I was very.
You said you were unrefined at the start of your
You
skating.
mentioned juggling, that kind of stuff.
I was very natural with the ball.
Yeah.
Like, think of Salerno skating, that was me soccer.
Uh-huh.
Effortless compared to others, for example. But with skating, that was a whole new thing for me. So I'm 23, I'm not 15. And I'm going to start doing monkey flips on a ramp.
Tell you what, you think of someone that ended up becoming as qualified as this guy, starting at such a late age in the blading game. I'd like to hear anyone else that started
I don't think so.
that age.
And we're playing catch up, don't forget, because these roller skaters from Europe, they've been doing it for 10, 15 years already. Rene, Rafael Sandoz, Marcos Longares, they're doing McTwists and airs and all the, like...
And they were still landing spread eagle, right?
Are they landing crab style?
Some of
yeah.
them. Bo Elsbo was. Wayne Cartwright from America, very smooth.
Brian Wainwright?
Very smooth. He used to stretch like half an hour before, or even more, and an hour after. I'm like, what are you doing? But that's how he remained supple, and he's still, up until a few years ago, still skating very smooth.
Yeah, cool.
But I never really liked the crab style of skating. I always visually liked how forward skating.
Yeah,
so
Renee was way more aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, and I think you could do more stuff.
Yeah.
And Bo Elsbo, who's Renee's buddy, he could skate straight and do tricks. I made him do it in Spain one day.
Yeah, right.
On the quads.
I go, why don't you do that? He goes, because everyone does that. I'm like, okay. So you want to be different? That's cool. Well done. So yeah, with me, I don't have a rolling background. I have no sense of what a transition is. Like, you get all these mad hockey players, they're so amazing on their skates, and you put them on a transition, and they struggle. And
I don't think they're that amazing on their skates.
You're a hockey player?
No, so we started. So we had like a street hockey league that's started in Perth, and it's getting bigger and stuff. And we joined, like, all of the guys who skate. We're like, oh man, we'll go give it a go.
In our crew down here.
And we ended up making the finals in our first ever year. And we would have
We were
completely...
winning the grand final 6-3.
Yeah,
we
but...
were drunk and exhausted from skating a coping box between the semi-final and the final.
We just cooked our legs. No one had legs left for skating the coping box for an hour, just opposite to
We're
the
skating
side.
anti-rockers or maybe flat, but with aggressive skates. And all the other people in the hockey league, I mean, this is a chill league. These are, but they're hockey enthusiasts, a lot of them, but we're not. And so we'd show up to a game and people are like, oh yeah, we heard you guys are pretty good. And we're like, really?
Yeah, we could skate.
We don't think
we
we're
could
good.
skate.
And they're like, yeah,
backwards, forwards, whatever.
Yeah.
And we'd be doing 360s over the goals and stuff in between, but we can't actually shoot the puck or do anything, right? So yeah, similar to what you're saying with skating. So you know, like, you're athletic, you know what you're doing, like, from a sense of where your body is and stuff, but the style's not so progressed, right? Like,
no style because I had no sense of. So now if I taught someone to skate, if I was to start skating again or roller skating or whatever, scooter skating, I know that there's alley-oop airs, there's carved airs, there's twists. I didn't even know what a McTwist was, you know, like, there's a background, a cultural background in people's minds when they do these things as kids. Well, I played soccer, I never skated. So I picked up skating and I was just athletic and acrobatic and stupid and like stubborn, and I would just throw myself and I would try to land everything, and you can't do that. Sometimes you got to bail, and sometimes you got to recognize you're off balance, and you know, I took
I remember you saying this in another podcast. Like, all right, there's an 80% chance I'm going to land. Actually, probably about 60. I'll just try to land it anyway.
Just throw yourself
into it. You can't do that. You know, you have to learn. I didn't know that.
You got to learn to fall, right? That's the first thing. That's
a skateboarder called Zelko from Skateboard World in Burwood. He was an ex-pro skateboarder Australian, and he told me, he goes, "You're getting pretty good, but you got to learn to fall. Get yourself some good knee pads. Learn how to take it on your hip, on your side, and learn when to bail and when to live another day. Don't be so proud that because you didn't land the trick that you failed. Because you just failed 20 times until you get the trick, and then you live another day." And so anyway, this is my progression was more about, okay, that trick. No one in Australia is doing a 720. Well, I'm going to go do a 720. Fakie 900, never been done. Why not? It's just a half more rotation, you know. I wasn't worried about style. What's the maximum? What's everyone do? What can I do?
And it showed, man.
Yeah.
I don't care how sketchy you'll land that backflip. That backflip's going to be about 3 feet higher than anyone anticipated.
Well, the backflip came. I was scared to do a backflip. I could do backflips, standing backflips. I could do backflips off 2-story balconies before skating. But it scared me to do a backflip on the ramp. It really scared me, and it took me about 6 months or 8 months doing those side ninja things, and then one day I just popped my head back and my feet just followed. Just went pop and my feet just followed. I was like, shit, I did it. And then within 2 weeks I was chucking them high, and then I was just blasting them as high as I could do my airs.
How different do you think it would be? Like, we were talking about this earlier as well, but if you've got, you know, Resi ramps, all that kind of stuff, that would change the game, right? Or do you think that makes you...
No, I never use... Personally, I know it's helped a lot of people.
Yeah.
And look at BMX now. BMX is insane. Most of it is because of the Resi. A lot of skaters learnt double flats and double whatever.
Yeah.
I couldn't do it.
Yeah. Do you reckon it puts you off, like, for you personally?
It puts me off because, first of all, I want to learn it on the ramp.
Yeah, okay.
He wants to roll away.
Yeah.
I want to take the hit and learn it on the ramp. Then, I don't want to learn it in the swimming pool or an airbag. I want to learn it on the ramp. Then, I actually have had a couple little sessions with double backflips into the Resi.
Yeah.
You get comfortable to landing on that, and then the ramp just becomes that much harder.
It's like, it's not compressed, right? So it's you're kind of landing into a softer, slower...
And it's slightly elevated transition, slightly different, and then the ramp just becomes so much deeper and harder, and in your mind, I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I couldn't transition, so I just rather do everything on the ramp, because that's, I mean, the Resi pits and all that came towards the end of my skating, so I never really...
Resi pits at Woodward and stuff?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, Woodward West, Woodward East. Now they've got them everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
They're almost ruining skate parks and stuff in that you go there and they set them up for this big Resi feature or something, and you're like, man, this kind of sucks.
I mean, it's good. I mean, if that's how you need to learn your tricks to do them on the ramp, that's okay. Not saying it's good or bad. I'm just saying I couldn't do it. I just didn't like it. I just couldn't do it. I couldn't transition from one, even learning a new 540, then you go do it on the ramp. It just felt just harder. It just felt weird. So I just wanted to learn it always on the ramp.
I want to talk to you about the evolution of skating and how ramps have changed over the years. But I also wanted to talk to you about spins and stuff. Like the top of my list is simply the 9, the 10, the 12, and flat spins. Who did it and whatnot. But more about how they're done.
Can we talk about the style?
I was going to say, before we get to that, I want to talk about how many different ways one can 360.
Yeah.
Because you broke it down. So you were talking like alley-oop and the standard way, fakie to forwards, forwards to fakie, and then flicking, like fakie both ways as well as all the grabs?
Yeah, I mean, first you got the standard 360, you go up 360 on the spot, up and down, up and down. And that's what we learned because our ramps are narrow here. And then when we went to America, the ramps are freaking wide, and we were just skating in the middle panels. And then you watch skateboarders, and they're carving the whole ramp. So I learned a little bit from that as well. So when you do a 360, you can do it left hand. If you spin left, you do it left hand. That's the safety hand. That's how I teach people how to spin if they're stuck. Right hand kind of stops your rotation a little bit, so you've got to be a little bit more confident. But some people learn it right hand, so it's easier for them. And then you can carve an alley-oop. Carve a 360, and it's not as easy as it sounds. It's a little bit blind because you want to over rotate it, and you're landing fakie going left. Then there's the alley-oop 360, which feels the best.
Yeah,
for sure.
Feels the best, but it's also, I think it's easier than carving. It feels nice, and you can go further. But once you start doing 720s alley-oop, they become blind. So you're really relying on
muscle memory,
the feel of when you left the ramp and the last second you spot the coping. And then let's go back to straight up and down. You can do it straight like you're sitting on a chair. You can do them a little bit where your head controls everything. This is what I tell people. They made us do drama school. In school, they made us do drama classes or whatever. And the only thing I took out of that, we did an exercise where they made you spin on the spot. And a lot of people couldn't do the full spin. It was a bit of an effort.
We're getting to the end of my list already. I've got coil theory written above. I feel like I'm about to touch on it right now. This is amazing.
Well, basically they said if you don't turn your head and try to spin with your shoulders and whatever, you're going to do 3/4 of a spin. But if you turn your head and jump, your body will follow. And with skating, I've done runs where my legs are gone and I'm at the last trick and I've got to throw a 7. And if my head wasn't leading, I wouldn't have finished the rotation. 1080 is a perfect example because it's if you don't throw your head at the beginning and create that momentum, you're not completing. Forget about landing. You're not even completing the spin. McTwist, still on 360s, but McTwist, if you tuck your head under, 540s if you tuck your head back over your shoulder, if you look straight, that'll dictate whether you go bio or straight or flat.
The axis.
Yeah.
It's a lot in the head, and the body will follow. So with 360s, you can kind of do with the carved ones. You can look over your shoulder, under you, and it's just a floaty. When you alley-oop, you can look over your shoulder, and when you land, you're landing perfectly back into the ramp. Okay, so now what do? We're just doing 360s. Why don't we grab them? So what grabs? Well, what airs are you doing? We're doing rocket airs, Lukang airs, method airs. Well, a lot of people aren't doing a lot of airs, they're just doing mutes. That's a whole other thing.
What do you mean?
Well, you can watch top pro skaters and they go mute, 540, mute, 720, Lukang. It's like, let's get creative. Let's grab your left foot with your right leg, tweak it back as much as you can, make it look theatrical, do a Lukang, Tim.
So unorthodox was totally okay with you?
It was compulsory.
Yeah,
It was compulsory because I didn't want to be a robot. I didn't want to be doing what everybody else was doing. Trying to create always something different, and a lot of times it was crap.
I was going to say, was there a level of wackiness that was unacceptable?
Here
we go.
There's a lot of stuff that I did I used to muck around a lot.
Not even from you, but that you didn't like seeing other people do. You like seeing people get...
Copying.
Okay.
I hate people copying. It's one of my...
Well, as a man who has a passion for design and things like that.
Just copy and paste people piss me off. It's just make up your own. Okay, do a 360.
Greatest form of flattery, they say.
Yeah, greatest form of
meat and potatoes
laziness as well, because just create your own. Okay, we all copied Chris Edwards. We all copied. Then they copied me, and then I copied Chris. People copied me, and then whoever copied me, people copied them, and that's a cycle of life. I get it. But there's certain tricks that people, that's their own trick. Don't copy exactly their own trick. Make it
Give
your
it
own.
a spin, yeah.
Everyone does 360, but make it your own. You just played me a video before, and Tim did this flying fish. Is it called flying fish?
Well, it was back then.
Was it?
The fly fish?
Yeah, fly fish. Yeah.
That rocket fish brain grab in the air.
Right?
That no one else did.
Stalls it, 360 late. That's a 360. Chris Edwards was doing late 360s, but he wasn't doing that.
Yeah, it's got that.
Tim made it his own, right? And Tim was super creative like that always.
So that's why I was going to ask, is there a level of wackiness that didn't sit well with you? Because Edwards at a time was like, all right, sweet, so how do I keep pushing this? I've been pushing it and now everyone's on board.
Yeah.
I'm going to keep being a groundbreaker. And he started like doing toe slides across the deck and stuff like that. Doing like weird grabs where he wasn't even necessarily grabbing, just maneuvers that were definitely challenging my mind as a street skater who thought he knew vert skating. Like, wow, this guy's definitely outside of the box. I don't know how well it sits with me yet, because I wasn't already at a level where I'm like, all right, so what's next? Whereas you were, everyone else on the vert ramp was. You guys are the progressors.
Right, and I chose not to do any of that, but that was his. Every artist does 10 copies to make one good copy of something, right? So Chris Edwards did a lot of stuff that maybe he didn't like to get the brilliant Chris Edwards stuff. I've done a lot of stuff that I didn't like to get the good stuff. Like you kind of eliminated it all. Like I had a lot of 720s that they were wacky, they were triple grab, but they just didn't look good.
A triple grab 720?
Yeah.
Which grabs?
So it was mute, Liu Kang, near mute. So
mute
into it, so that you could transition right hand Liu Kang, and Liu Kang 7s for me were no problem, and then
at the last
left hand near mute out. So it pulled me out perfectly,
straightened you up again,
and you could carve those, which would give you more space to throw your Liu Kang leg out, so you didn't whack it.
So that's a forward to fakie triple grab 7.
I want to ask though, getting back to like we had the conversation, mate. You go overseas, you're doing that, you're seeing different things, and Chris made the thing like too. If you, as a musician, it's like you bring out a new a song, whatever we're talking about, like so skating versus a song, but you go, okay, I'm gonna try something differently. Coming back to Australia versus being overseas, do you see stuff over there that influences you to try things in a different way, or is it more just in your mind going, well, how can I do this differently? Is it like an external influence or an internal influence on that kind of thing?
There's people that can draw just from their mind.
Yeah.
Just draw. And there's people that can draw really well from copying. From looking at something, right? So I've always been the person that can draw without having to look at anything.
Perfect. Yeah, cool.
So I don't need to see anyone do anything for me to say, okay, well, maybe I should be doing more.
Yeah.
I was always... A lot of times I wasn't competing against other people. I was competing against myself. Like if I got second or third and I did like the run I had in my mind planned perfectly and everything, I'd be stoked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so back to the style thing, I was getting all these tricks, fakey 900 brainlesses and just...
What's a brainless again?
Like
for all our viewers that need help as well.
It's an inverted fakey 900. So you kind of chuck it. So again,
a fakey brainless. I've heard of the fakey brainless, but not the 900 version.
The brainless was just a 540 where you kind of went fakey and then did a backflip.
I called a Viking flip a flare on the weekend on the microphone. I was sat next to the guy with the microphone in Tassie at the Tassie titles, and someone was like, flare or Viking flip, or depending on what year you were born. I was like, correct.
Also the flares for bikes.
Exactly, like, it had been a while since I'd seen anyone do a Viking flip in my presence, so I was like, so what's that again? It's like a backflip on it. Someone's like, it's a flare. I'm like, yeah, flare. Just call it a flare. I forgot that the Viking flips were a thing. It's been a while since I watched a Renee video.
Yeah, I mean, names, you go to different places and people call different things. To me, it didn't matter. It's just like that. I know what trick I need to do. And so I filmed myself in 96, right? So we went on tour to Colombia, Argentina, Europe, France, everywhere. And I always had a video camera, not for any other purpose than just to look at myself skate and see what looked good, what didn't. And
Sweet. Can everyone do that more often? Don't just try the trick again. If your mate filmed it, say, hey, can I look at that and see what I did wrong?
Yeah.
Well, it was my biggest teacher because I used to pump with my hands on my legs, if you remember that. I used to push down on my knees with both hands to pump.
It's true.
Right? So because I won everything pretty much in 95, I was the champion, so-called. The Yasutokos were filming everything and they learned by copying everything. So they film and teach, right? So they went back to their country. So I went back, I think, in 97 and they invited me to their good skates park and their school and I was teaching the kids and all the little kids were just pumping on their knees. I was like, hey. And then Aito and Takeshi were like, yeah, Cesar style. I'm like, no.
So you're to blame.
I said, Shito style, changed. And I made them, on the spot, tell them not to do that.
Wow.
Not to do that.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Yeah.
So after I watched myself that whole year.
So I had to completely unlearn a generation. Right?
No, well, that was one of the hardest things to do was to just before 97. So I came back from 96. I'm in Sydney, it's summer. I'm going to Vertex strictly to change my pumping style. You know how hard that was? It was one of the hardest things I had to do. I spent a week just pumping up and down the ramp, not knowing what to do with my hands and just trying to not do that, not put my hands on my legs and get my straight spins back because I started flipping everything, which was my head. So all I had to do was change my head, keep my hand here, get my straight spins back again so I could start getting the grabs and get everything controlled.
Back to basics.
Everything more compact, everything cleaner. And then when I got to the States in 97, I was
the
like,
next
whoa.
season, yeah, no
I had a whole bunch of tricks. I had a whole bunch of a new style almost. Everyone's like, "Oh wow!"
And he was self-taught. The whole thing was just him.
Well, I'm self-critical with everything. So if I can see myself, my dad, who doesn't know anything about skating, came to watch me once at Bondi when Chris Edwards came for the birth tour.
You need to grab it better, son.
No, you know when Chris Edwards came for the birth tour?
Yeah.
Right, Bondi. Me and him were skating against each other, and my dad was like. After everyone went away and he goes, is that guy the world champion? I said, yeah, he's the best, you know. He's like, yeah. He does everything like a ball. I was like, what do you mean? He goes, you don't.
Okay.
I got the shits. But he, as an observer, he just said that Chris Edwards just does everything in a ball, compact, and it just looked cleaner and landed better, you know. And that was another lesson for me, like, to start cleaning everything up. So basically, I tried to build up this repertoire of big tricks. Then I had to clean it up.
Control it, yeah.
Can control it, clean it up, and then add variations. And if I can 720 straight, why not alley-oop it? Why not carve it?
So you found the balance between pushing the amplitude and still making it look good.
What's more important in your opinion, style or amplitude?
What year are you asking me?
Yeah, alright, so in that case,
okay.
how many different phases were there? Was there like,
at the beginning?
I used to think let's just go bigger and spin further.
Right.
And then there's because that was one of my questions, that was one of the things I was going to ask you. What would you rather see? What's your favourite trick to do or what's your favourite trick to watch? You know, like, you did a 1080, you're the first to do it. It wasn't necessarily your favourite trick to do. Some people like to do, like, Yosti really enjoys doing a flat 3, just forward to flat 3. You know, was there any trick that you're like, yeah, that's my jam? Like, you know, Crawford, fakie 540, that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Your backflip was the crowd pleaser, but I don't know if that was necessarily your favourite manoeuvre.
No, and I got too known for that, and I stopped doing it for a while because it's like everywhere I went, I didn't want to be known for. I was doing 1080s and 1260s, and people were like, do a backflip.
Yeah.
I would do a 1080 and then I'd do a backflip, and people would cheer for the backflip.
He's the reason. He's the
reason. Everyone did do a backflip. It's also so.
Yeah, but okay, it's a couple of tricks. I can't narrow one. Like a cross grab 1080 feels amazing because the speed, first the risk. The speed of it, and then when you get the grab, and the grab actually pulls you around.
Yep.
When you land that, it's sweet. When you don't, it's a big mess. It's a lot of rotating. So when you land, when you whip, it's.
And how often would you do that?
No, I would never practice it.
Oh wow!
Just throw it in
It's
the competition.
It's
Yeah,
just like
wow.
it's like I'm feeling it. The crowd's good. I go up, do a practice 720 a certain way, and there's a certain 720 I do, and if that felt perfect, I know I'm going to land a 1080. And then I would do it. But I would never practice it. Rarely would I have a session where I just, let's go do 1080s. No, because you just slam so hard if you're not in the mood, and you don't get 720, like the near mute 720 would just tweak it all the way around. For me, it was one of the simplest tricks. Super hard for most people. For me, it was super easy and it just felt the best. It's one of those tricks that just feels so cool.
Are there faux pas on vert that we don't know about as non-vert skaters? I'd like to know.
I like that.
I got a clip of this guy in an X Games run, and he lands his 720 or whatever it is. Maybe it's a fakie 9, and lands fakie, and
Switches on the vert.
Yeah.
On the flat between the transitions.
Well, I did that here in Melbourne in the 95 Australian titles. I would go 720, change, another 720, change on the flat to forwards. Then I would do it from a 900.
Deliberately? Yeah. Because I showed it to Brad. I was like, "Hey, check out this like blooper clip of Cesar." He's like, "No, that was his thing." I was like, "Really?"
Yeah, I used to do it. But what was harder was going forwards, like landing a 540 and switching to fakie.
Yeah, you deliberately did that. With the judges like, wow, and plus he switched it up in his run. That's
a point
or they're like, what the hell? He bloopered. Have a point.
Someone didn't get what you could hear, and people sitting down would be like, "Did you see that?" Like it was like, did he flip out backwards or did he mean that? No, it was planned. It was always planned. And another thing.
Do you know anyone else that ever did that? That was factoring going forwards to fakie or fakie to forwards on the flat between the transitions in the middle of a $1,000 run.
Because if I'm doing that, man, I'm covered. It's not because it's intentional. I can guarantee that I'm falling down real quick.
No, well, I think Borja Fernandez just posted a thing where he landed a big spin where it was supposed to land forwards and he kind of lost his way and came out of the backwards and landed it.
But did he call it?
No, he didn't call
you
it.
Can't claim it unless you call it.
Another cool trick is just a simple this is something that you can't explain to people. You have to feel it, and it's just a simple, massive rocket air. Just the feeling of like, oh shit, pump as hard as you can, land right under that coping, and hit the next wall as like. You don't care if you're gonna fall on the flat, if you're gonna go over the back rail. You're going up, and I never used to look at the ground, so I'm looking at the sky. I grab my skates, and I'm not even that flexible, but in the air you can kind of touch your toes, which is, my girlfriend's like, how could you do all those things? You're not flexible. But in the air you can do that stuff, and just hold it, and hold it, and hold it, and I'm going to die, and you know when you come out of it, that's the best. Like a simple, something like that is something that you know when gambling you win a big thing, and then you're always chasing that big win? I was always chasing that feeling of like that. There's a point
like a junkie always chasing that first
win. That's what it is.
You never forget your first rocket.
That's what it is. And when you can get like a good rhythm on the vert and you feel that air, 6-7 foot's one thing, but once you get into that 8-9 foot pocket, it's a different feel. Your body is angled a little different. There's a bit more weight. It's a bit more risk.
Weightlessness. Weightlessness
until you come down and you have a lot of weight. And
so I liked how you said you looked at the sky when you were airing.
Always, yeah.
Kind of like if you're doing a gap, you're looking at where you're going to clear that stick down there into the car park, or like I'm going to spin this way and I'm going to look that way to where I'm spinning. I'm going to blast this to the moon, so that's where I'm going to look.
Well, that's good. Okay. So I've always, if I have to do something, I'm going to do it the hard way. So
the challenging way.
I was always judged by street skaters on in contests. A lot of them didn't understand some of the stuff we were doing, right? So if you go, have you done any airs on mini ramps and vert?
No.
Very badly. Very badly.
You're looking down the whole time immediately, right?
Yeah.
It's so hard to take your eyes off the ramp, right? So when you're going up and you look, it's not just looking up, it's your shoulders not turning, right? Straight to the back rail.
Yeah.
Doing your grab, looking up, that's like you've lost contact with the ramp. Then you come in. Liu Kang's, Japan's, rockets, the Indian air, I tweak it backwards.
Man, I just had an epiphany of how to air.
Same.
Like, don't worry about what you just.
We're going to skate park tomorrow.
We'll deal with that later. You launched out of that thing. It's gone now. You're gonna land on it, but first we're gonna do this.
Might have to have a vert.
Come back
tomorrow.
to that. Wow, I'm gonna launch on mini off the Paran ramp like I'm at Bondi.
You know, and that's a lot. Your natural instinct when you go in the air is like, where's the ground straight away?
Yeah.
Your body turns straight away. Your shoulders turn down. Your head turns down. Brings you right
Instead of living in the moment, which is up here right
that's
now.
Right.
To the moon.
But yeah, that's that was another thing that just made vert fun, made skating fun. Just being able to do.
There's something said for that, like simplicity in a trick, like big spins, etc., but just as perfect as it can be, right?
Look, imagine this. You go up, you hit the corner of the ramp, you hit the nice pocket on the corner of the ramp, you start alley-ooping across the ramp. You go 180 mute, hold, alley-oop, 180 mute, hold, tucked like a perfect little ball, then poof, let go, explode, 360 late, and you land on the other side of the ramp. That trick just feels so amazing. You're controlling it the whole time. Halfway through, when you decide, you just let go, pop, and spin your hips, land in a pocket.
I feel like we're moving into an era where a triple grab 720 will never be a thing again, but neither will a 17 switch up on a handicap rail. So rollerblading is becoming more refined and embracing doing it simpler but better.
Yeah.
And so you look at the new, pardon me, what I've written down is the new ramp skater, someone like Joe, who isn't going to do a 720 McTwist, or if he is, we'd be surprised.
I reckon I could teach him.
I reckon you could.
I had one session with him at Bondi,
and everyone knows because it was one of the most.
The nod.
That clip of you in blue. Everyone knows.
I didn't do anything, but I just helped him with his inverts. But what I was trying to say was he's a natural. Like I could get him on a vert ramp, and in 3 months he'll be competing with the best. Honestly, natural style. He's a Salerno to me. When I saw him skate, he's like Salerno. He understands transitions.
And is he a sponge?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And he's humble.
Yeah.
Like okay, can I be honest about that day? I was asked to come down that day.
By whom?
By
Dom or whatever.
He texted me or something, and
Joe did.
Yeah, and Dom also as well.
So when was Joe and you introduced? Because I think that the world was really fascinated by seeing the two. Man, that image for the connected generations.
I got so many photos of the same. It was only on the thing for 2 seconds.
2 seconds, and props to the filmmaker for including it and seeing.
Dom's a calculated bastard. He knew exactly what he was. He just stand over there and watch him skate.
Yeah. To the left. All right, now stay there and nod. Oh man.
No, but he. So they said, if you can come down and whatever. I hadn't been on Instagram long, so I've been detached from skating. I didn't really know who he was. I'd sort of seen a few clips and heard of him. I didn't know he was like as big as he was, or as big a deal, or was roasted.
Becoming a big deal
at
the time.
His head's on the cover of the Roasters boxes, and I had no idea, right? Met him, super nice. Some guy at the beach was heckling him and, trying to get it. He handled him well. He was like super cool with him as well. Yeah. He was fine. Asking me questions about, invert this way, or how do he really wanted to do a rocket, that rocket he did on the hip. He really wanted to do that properly. That's a switch air for him, which again, he's like Salerno. He just feels, his legs just felt the transition no matter, he's like one of those things that no matter where you move, your legs just adapt, that's how he is. He just pumps really smooth. He can go both ways. He's got so much potential. He's got such a natural style. Some people, they learn vert, but they're not natural, like me at the beginning. But he's just a natural style. But that's how that came about. And then I went home and I got bombarded by everyone from the UK to Brazil to everything. Like, I'm like, I didn't. Then I looked him up properly. And
it was like a Star Wars moment, like Ghost
Yoda off in the background.
Yoda's dead. There's his ghost, but he's watching on, going, yes, good it is.
Do the air, you will. The rocket grab.
That's how it came about. And then we've stayed in touch. Ever since.
He's been here, man. He stayed here when he was in town.
No, he's a cool guy.
Hey, Joe.
Everything I've seen of him has just been exemplary. He's just a cool guy. He's level-headed. I gave him that line. I said, make sure your helmet always fits your head. He gets it. And that's how he is. He's just...
What about CJ? He's a transition skater.
So CJ's another one. So again, I was detached from skating. Do you guys remember CJ as a kid?
Yes.
He was a little kid with no neck.
Yep.
Who was like 3 foot tall, cutest little kid. You want to just grab his cheeks, skating around the skate park with all the pros. 10 years later, he's like touring the world, killing it. Like he's seriously one of the best skaters that's ever done it. He's brilliant. He's another.
Have you ever had anything to do with? Have you ever had a skate chat with him about trick philosophy or how it's
no? I've seen him since he was.
You explained a thing or two to Joe, but you had never had anything to do with.
I'll be asking CJ for advice. He's made brilliant. He can do.
But I mean, he's the product of watching you guys.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of the Australian skaters learn off each other. That everyone was like, "What do you guys drink down there?" And it was like, we never skated back in the day to be filmed. We never skated to to be on. Oh,
It wasn't a performance.
no, it was like, all right, who's going to the ramp? And you couldn't even get a go on the ramp at your local park on an afternoon where there was nothing going on, and we skated the crap ramps every day. When we get to the States, beautiful big ramps. No one skates unless they're getting filmed. We're like, what? Let's just skate. So we all learn off each. Well, if I'm looking at manual, and Tom Fry, for example, and Tim Ward, and how am I not going to get better?
Yeah. Yeah.
If I'm skating with Salona, how am I not going to get? Well, am I going to keep doing the shit stuff that I'm doing? No, I'm going to do what they're doing. Kids are going to do what I'm doing, and kids are going to follow what CJ's doing now. And because we just didn't have this big, I can't know how to explain it. In America, it was Chris Edwards was a big deal.
Uh-huh.
It was a big
We were
deal.
legends in our own lunchbox. I think maybe it was less than 20 million people here at the time.
We were just Aussie battlers, if you want to put it that way.
Yeah.
We just skated. You look at Tim, he had raggedy shorts and a jumper that was too big for him. And 95 vert, he's just making up stuff on the coping. Spinning 450 in on a vert ramp. Like, what are you doing, man? That's dangerous. But he just, okay, so I'm going to go do this now and be better than, and then Salerno goes and does whatever he does, and then Manuel just does whatever he, and so there was so many good skaters, and so the kids following through, that's what they had to look at. If you've got only average to look at, that's all you're going to get to, right? But if you got like this level to look at, that's where you're going to, involuntarily, that's where you're going to go. Because a 360 is no longer a big deal. Everyone's going to be doing 540s. Everyone's going to be doing... Or if you're talking about street, when the Hoax came out, that's when street took another jump. Right? There's certain times in our history where skating just went boof. And then boof.
Tell me, how did the Yasutokos become so far ahead of everyone?
Oh, they're not that far
If there was
ahead.
a jump in vert skating, it was when those guys said, all right, cool, we're just going to go like 2 feet higher and spin 2 rotations.
So what happened, and this is like, because I've known him since 95, I had to skate against Takeshi when he was wearing little glasses and he was 8 years old or 10
I remember
years
like
old.
Sinclair vert ramp and stuff.
Right, they were, they grew up in the skate park, they lived in the double-decker bus in the skate park, so they've been skating since they were
Born.
right? Like a soccer player in Brazil, had a soccer ball since he was a kid. So they came up skating, the nicest kids. Me and Aito used to get on like a house on fire. I didn't care if he won or I won or Takeshi won.
Is your dad a pretty regimented dude when it comes to their skating?
Yeah.
Supportive, encouraging, but pretty
like a coach.
full on?
Yeah, like a coach, like an opportunity here to do something and knuckle down. And like I remember 98 World Finals, Las Vegas, the street happened, the vert finished, the next day was best trick. He had him there the next morning before anybody trying to dial this trick down on the vert that had like a massive gap at a rail across it. So
that one.
Yeah.
The death, whatever. I think Bergeron.
I think it's
that.
even... Is it in this
It's
magazine? It might even be in this.
Maybe.
So he did...
Oh man, Shane Xavier is selling top soul.
But
Bergeron.
great people,
Cork,
right? So what happened with them, they would just film everybody. The Australians, the Europeans, Chris Edwards, whatever.
Their dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Their dad, I think their dad has every single competition from every year. I'm serious. And so they would learn that. They had their own skate park. They would just learn. What happened was they got to a mature age when everybody else started to fade out. Right? So for example, I won 98 X Games. Then 99 I was winning to the last run and Aito just beat me. So that's when it kind of took over, right?
Changing of the guard.
Yeah.
It's all written here. Changing of the guard.
And so then they were becoming men, young men, and everybody else, we were all getting phased. And the sport was also sort of dying, which impeded skaters to travel to events. So the actual contestants were less. There was less competition.
And the melting pot of progression would have been affected.
It stopped.
Yeah.
It stopped. If you see now, it's the same what they were doing
That's it.
15 years ago, I can tell you, like, pretty much. And I can pick apart their skating and...
Is that the same for even skateboarding, vert and stuff? Like
I don't know, I haven't
really kept up with it either,
with
but
it.
it seems to be that I think, and that segues into another thing, is like the whole mega ramp stuff comes into this also at probably early 2000s-ish as well.
There's been like a very massive shift over the years in the history of the ramp and that includes there being mini ramps and 9-foot verts, to there being 14-foot verts with roll-ins and channels in the middle, to there being like mega ramps and stuff. Well, not mega ramps, like 3 or 4 ever, but now steel vert ramps won't be constructed by any council ever again.
No, because I think they said over any of this structure over an 8 foot, any structure over 8 foot is deemed dangerous.
So they just go into the ground with these giant vert concrete bowls that are slick enough that you can skate and slide down and not rip your skin open, which is an exciting time. I did a topsoil in a bowl in Tasmania. It was a very big bowl. But goddamn no way I would do that in the 90s because I couldn't be bothered because I don't care about doing a topsoil in a bowl enough to want to scrape my skin off. Whereas
very different to West Hobart Bowl as well.
Well,
we went to West Hobart Bowl as well.
The progression of the ramps also came about with ESPN and the TV, and people got bored of watching skateboard on vert. Well, let's make him jump big down massive ski jump over it, and that was exciting. And so, okay, people got used to that. Let's make the jump bigger, like the BMX when they come off that massive ramp, they launch over a gap, then they do another jump.
Yeah,
it's Evel Knievel stuff. Like it's getting.
But then we watched there be a decrease in vert ramps built and an increase in plaza skate parks with not a ramp in them.
Spoke about Waterloo, that's what it is now, right? It's just a plaza.
Plaza-y. But now there's also concrete bowls, clover bowls that you can find crazy lines. Some of them are shallow, some of them are deep, and some of them are significantly deep. And there are still vert bowls out there, so vert is still possible to do if you want, but it's
cost, maintenance. So to build a concrete bowl, what, 30 grand, but that's it. You're not resurfacing it every year. You're not painting it. You're not touching it.
You might replace the pool coping tiles if the skateboards are smashing it up. But
yeah, but you know that's what it is. It's built. It's a structure that's built in there. They don't have to take care of it anymore.
So how does that sit for you, as an artist who cared about the art?
Well, I was disappointed when I kind of looked back into checked back into skating, and just saw the scene was dead. And then where the level was at, it was disappointing, because we and I'll never say myself, because to me Chris Edwards was always my idol. That's who I wanted to skate like. And
Same as Tim, he said that too.
He carried a lot of shit on his back for a lot of years, and people say, "Oh, he wasn't that good," or "You guys surpassed him." Okay, we surpassed him because of what he gave to us.
He set the foundation, right?
He set the foundation. You need those pioneers. I mean, you look at tennis players in the 60s, you look at Rod Laver, classified as, one of the best ever. I reckon I could beat him. Not really, but you know what I mean, compared to now.
When he was in his prime, he'd probably lose to the modern day tennis player.
Easily.
Females.
Yeah.
Right? But you had to have those guys to lay down the foundations for the Federers to be what they are. So I understand that for me to get to where I was, I piggybacked off Chris Edwards. We all did. I mean, he was the first one anyone saw do a rail. I'm not only talking about ramp. I'm talking about everything. Chris Edwards was and the thing, people say, oh, but this and that. I'm like, okay. So let's say the Yasutokos. Let's say me. I had a reference to look at what to do. Even though I made my own stuff, for example.
Yeah, he'd never heard metal music before and he started making metal music.
Yeah.
Right? So he was doing... Who was I surrounded by? I was surrounded by Salerno, Tim Ward, the best of all time. Like, you look the best of all time. That's who I was surrounded by, right? Who was he surrounded by? No offence to these guys, but they weren't Pat Parnell, Jess Ironforth. They were nowhere near his level, and yet he's doing alley-oop McTwist on a 4-panel ramp, 9 foot in the air, that still people can't do to this day. 720 in airborne, 720 McTwist, right? That's where I got it from. That's straight up right now.
That ramp's like it's about as wide as this, right?
Airborne's right there.
Right, he's doing he's doing a McTwist, landing fakie. I was like, what the hell was that? The next day I got my photographer Martin, we went down the ramp, and I got him. The very next day. And I never got him this smooth. I got him where I could land, and you couldn't hear the wheels like that. It was just
no impact.
It was weird. Martin goes, I can't even hear you land. I'm like, I know, this is amazing. But it took it for me to see Edwards. Okay, then I started
It's a collective consciousness thing, really.
Yeah, but he carried so much, right? I did my bit, this guy did his bit. Everyone does their bit. Some people just copy, some people, whatever. But you need those guys. Yeah, guys got to a higher level than what I did, let's say. But because they learn a lot of what I did, maybe. The Yasutokos always tell me that they learn a lot.
Tell me about this 1080.
Oh, so the 10... Okay, so we're going to get to the Salerno here.
First 1080 ever in action sports?
So 1080...
In action sports?
In action sports, for sure.
No, not snowboarding.
Okay, cool.
Snowboards. I mean, snowboarding. They go huge. But yeah, it's first 1080 and first 1260. But the 1080 came about because... I threw 1080s in 94.
You were doing fakie nines?
Fakie nines.
And then you did a 1080 in 94?
94, where it was pencil.
Coping Buck exclusive, you heard it here first. What?
Where it was like pencil style.
Yeah.
I just used to chuck. It's when I learnt my sevens. So I just used to chuck, hope for the best, land, smash.
So you did a fakie 10?
No, forwards.
Forwards 10.
Forwards.
Okay. Forwards to fakie 10.
Yeah, because I couldn't land forwards before when I started. For some reason, I just got comfortable landing backwards, which is how the 900 came about, but I'll tell you. So the 1080, I landed 1, 2 I rolled out of and just smashed on the other side, but 1 I actually rolled out of and then never got him again.
Okay.
Right? Because I started flipping all my spins.
Is this pre-hand pump or are we...
No, that's full hand pump.
Okay.
And this is above the coping?
Yeah.
Or at the coping?
1 foot, like around.
Yeah.
It's 94. And then I started twisting and flipping all my spins. So I got lost doing the 1080 doing that, and I landed on 1 and almost ripped my knee out. So stopped doing those for a few years. Comes 98, Goodwill Games New York, and Salerno says he's doing forwards 900s. Came from Australia, he's doing, and we all know he's very active imagination. So we told the Pat Parnell, the microphone guy, on out after the heats. And Salerno was...
He's a rollerblader and still hosts action sports events on ESPN.
Pat Parnell, he made a great living off it. But
Fuel TV and all that jazz.
Motocross stuff, ESPN and stuff. Yeah.
So he said, okay, everybody, Matt Salerno's going to try his new trick, the forwards 900. And Matt was sitting down, taking his skates off. He's like, no. So for fun, we all started trying to do it, right? Me, Matt Lindymuth, Mike Budnick, anyone that was on the ramp. We were all having goes. And I was over-rotating. This is easy. But I couldn't land forward properly. Like, I just couldn't see it. And Mike Budnick's like, that's a 1080. I'm like, I'll give it a go. Because I was, doing it.
It was there.
First go.
Yeah.
I just pump.
Just hanging with the homies session in the ramp, out of contest.
It was between... The heats had finished. Everyone was going to lunch. And that's what we were just mucking around doing. And I just did it. And then from then... I just did it every comp.
And anyone that went to lunch early got a rude surprise after the afternoon.
Came back and dropping in, Cesar Mora with his new trick.
So the fakie 900 came about I was at the beach, and I could do the fakie 540 obviously, but I couldn't do a fakie 720. But in my mind, because I wasn't educated, I can do a forward 720. I should be able. It's the same thing, but it's not. It's completely different. You're landing forwards. You're starting from a fakie. Couldn't get it. Again, over-rotating. There was a skateboarder that used to hang, a real bastard of a guy, but with me, he was always cool for some reason. He was the first guy to ever get filmed doing a McTwist on a skateboard in Australia.
Yeah.
Chris something. And he was just real short with everybody and whatever, and he said, what are you trying to do? He was just walking past.
But he was cool with you, do you reckon, because of your skating ability?
He was cool with me because I didn't act like I knew everything.
Probably because you were 23 when you started?
Yeah, and... It was the middle of the day, I think it was like Tuesday, 11 o'clock in the morning, just trying to work stuff out. I kept falling. He goes, what are you trying to do? I said, fakie 720. He goes, but you're landing backwards. That's a 900. I go, yeah, but no one can do that. He goes, try it.
As in no one can do a fakie 9?
No one could at the time.
Yeah.
No one's ever done it. Through the first one, kind of find where I was, landed on my knees. Bang, bang, bang. Did the second one. He goes... Cool, man, and walked off.
But yet you've got Tony Hawk doing I know different sports and stuff. The first 9 with this whole build up to it. So
yeah, but you got it's a perfect storm.
Yeah.
99 X Games. X Games was at its peak. They owned the Tony Hawk Tour. ESPN owns the Tony Hawk Tour. Yeah. You've got Tony Hawk PlayStation booming that year.
Yeah.
Booming. and you got this legendary guy who's been the biggest name in their sport. Has been their saviour. Let's put it that way.
Through multiple ebbs and flows too, not just once.
And he lands the first 900 that it's like a legendary myth of a trick in skateboarding, and he lands it eventually.
Yeah.
Mate, it was perfect. Like
it
was huge.
I just love the juxtaposition between. Oh yeah, cool mate. See you later.
Yeah, the build up of Tony's, and like so it was 11:00 on the
Tuesday morning, and some bloke walks past and goes, "Oh, we should just do this." Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, that's how it was, because I just couldn't land forward properly, so I'd go an extra half. And then he'd walk past me.
Like someone that says, yeah, just back it up a little bit on your reverse. Yeah, you're good. All right, take care. You just walks off.
Well, that was it. And every time he'd walk past us, he goes, you still got it? I go, yeah, man, I'll show you. And so I'd do it. But that's when I started getting him, like, I would do them, so 900 in total, 180, rocket stall, late 720, reverse style, normal style. I'd do Luke. One of my favourite ones, it's in, that video, Ian Smith. It's an Aussie one.
Yellow Brick Road?
Nah. Anyway, I've only got 3 tricks in it, but one of them is a fakie 900 Luke Kang. And it...
You got to tell us this video.
You know what...
Remember Mr. Nice Guy?
No, I know the one.
Mm-hmm.
You know what a weight ball is? You know when you get a ball with a battery in it and it's... Woof.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So once I started spinning, it just went like that. And it was the coolest looking... And it was one of the hardest to do because I kept it straight up. Most times I tried it after that, it was always down because it was from a fakie spin. So this is another thing that I'm talking about that people don't understand until you do it, the axis. It's so much harder to do certain tricks, certain grabs with certain hands if you spin a certain way.
Well, you were around when flat spins were popping into the scene.
Yeah, so I was doing, Blake Dennis got me on film doing flat spin 720 before anyone, and I lost it. I lost it. I did it at Vertex, and then I just started changing it.
And has he still got the footage? Because Clipper, it didn't happen, bro. Sorry.
No.
Wow, that's sick. So, but you did a 12. You were the first to do the 12?
Yeah. So
fakey 12.
That happened the year after.
That was a fakey 12?
And that's again thanks to Salerno.
So Yosti did a forward 12, you did the fakey 12?
Yeah. So see, Yosti's more comfortable landing forwards.
Yeah.
Right? Everything he does is generally landing forward. It's not even a 720. It's not clean the way he does them landing backwards, but he can do a 900 like absolutely perfect. Everyone just gets used to what they're used to, you know. But it was 99 in Boulder, Colorado, and the comp had finished. I'd won the comp. I was feeling, you know, in those days you just feel amazing, and that
everything clicks. Like
everything clicked. The little crappy ASA metal ramp, I just loved it. Right, I'd never loved it, but today I was feeling great. And I knew before I skated, I think I'd just come from Woodwood or something, and the crowd wanted to see a backflip, so I did like a backflip.
Gave the people what they wanted?
Well, I hadn't done one for over a year, right? So it was a bit scary. I landed a bit flat bottom, but that was all right. And then Mike Budney goes, do a 12. We did this because Salerno said he can do 1080 McTwists, right? Okay. I'm like, no, you can't.
The overactive imagination.
So he tried them and bailed, never landed one. And then Mike Budney goes, just do a 1260, man. I go, 212. Yeah, just do it. And again, 3 pumps, first go. And I posted it a few posts ago. It was one of the cleanest ones I ever landed. Like, it looked like I came out of it going, was that a 900 or... it came out perfect.
I love it. I did, first time I ever did a fakie 540 in the street, I looked at Kung and I was like, I just took off backwards and then I thought, that's fakie 5, right?
Yeah.
Wow, I just did a fakie 5. So, when you landed it, were you like, alright, let's just, for real, can someone confirm that just worked out?
No, well, everyone's just jumped in and it was like, it was just a perfect ending to a day. In Boulder, Colorado, it was so cool, fresh air, beautiful. Not many people, like it wasn't a big stadium or anything.
Is that in the comp or is that again like in the practice and stuff?
That was after the comp was done. This was just for the crowd. We'd finished skating and wrecking ourselves and it was just for the crowd. And they were so loud and they stayed there all day and they were so good. Every time I went to Boulder, it was awesome. So for people like that, you just give them more, you know? I was always happy to give them more.
As a street skater, I always appreciated you doing 540 disaster 360 back here. Especially when you upped it to 360 and not just 180. I noticed that.
I started doing the stale alley-oop 360.
Yep.
front side disasters or front side slide
And then
disasters.
180 back in.
180 or 360 back in. Then I was at, remember Danny Crank?
Yeah.
Crank straps?
Yeah. Just vaguely.
Oh, there you go. He had a place, a workshop at the Piers down in Sydney, which is now multi-million-dollar properties, but he had a shed there for some reason. And they were all, I think they were smoking or whatever, and it's not my gig, so he had these little mini ramps in his warehouse. I was like, what am I going to do here? I don't even ride these little... So I just go, 360, 360, 540 off. Okay, what about 540 on? And then I was like, well, almost got it. And then I got it.
Yeah.
I go and slide it a little bit. So then I was like, 540 slash stance a little bit, and then 360.
Slash stance. UFO for anyone that's spotted the
Slash
90s.
stance.
Yes!
So question.
You were doing hurricane backsides.
Yeah.
Well, the trick was taking that from there, the ramp that was like 3 foot, to the vert. Oh.
Yeah, man, that's what was crazy.
So you're not
540 to a
necessarily
backside stall on a vert ramp, and then 360 back in. The sort of axis correction.
But then, that wasn't enough. So this is what you were talking about before with progression. If you see the 97 St Kilda Australian titles, there's a photo in 4 in a row, a photo
27?
sequence.
Hang on, where's the... is it,
Hang on. No, it's not here. We've got... Is it on...
what was that middle tape say? The middle one?
We got 98.
98. Oh,
Yeah.
so close.
So I was doing them overhead, like McTwist style tucked, overhead, landing disaster, pop out. So it wasn't enough just to do them.
You were doing McTwist disaster backside
Well,
stalls, essentially?
It was in 4 in a row. It's a sequence shot, and I'm doing it above whoever's standing on the coping.
And this one?
Hang on. I'll be back. I'm just... No, it's sitting in there. I'll go get... Yeah,
Yeah, he's got to get it.
So I used to do them, and at Vertex, when I knew that I had the ramp dialed, I was doing it super high, landing, but the coping would boom, and then spin out.
So you took the mini ramp tricks to the vert.
Yeah, well, I tried, yeah. Like, 'cause I'm not
If you
gonna...
hadn't have had that crappy mini ramp set up in that dude's shed, that trick possibly would
I probably would have done it, yeah.
Yeah.
Probably would have done it because I wouldn't have been bored from waiting for them smoking. And
Who said drugs are bad? They can be good for anyone that's not taking them. To be inspired
this
to
is
be
just
creative.
this is one of the things. Like I did, fakie 720 disaster one.
Oh, there you go. Well done.
So I got up to doing fakie 720s, disaster 180s, 360s, and then trying forwards 9 disaster 180s. Right, but that's when I broke my arm and I kind of the big tricks I kind of just. But that was on the that was on the menu.
Alright, 900 to backside stall on a vert.
That's 98.
It's disgusting.
And
Well, I'll tell you what I did want to ask you about. Your experience, like, this isn't trick related, this is just historically speaking. Your experience in the bottom line. Because that was pretty kick-ass.
Yeah, that was.
I wasn't even I was a street skater, but that was a cool section.
Yeah, but that okay.
It was just you,
What
just
you,
Bondi.
what you just said is what skating was before. It doesn't matter if you were street or vert. It was
ATV.
cool. I watch a guy do street, it'll make me want to... I watch the guys on mini ramp, it made me want to do street. And then I found that I just like ramp better. I've had so many guys tell me, oh man, I saw you in 95 X Games, blah, blah, blah. I started to skate. Mad street skaters now. They don't skate vert, but they got into skating because they saw another skater. Not a vert skater or a street skater. And Australians and New Zealanders were like that. Everyone would go to the ramp, have a session, everyone would ride the mini, then everyone would go ride street, go through the city. And everyone just watched everyone, supported everyone. Then it became different. Street versus vert. And that's when it started sucking. But I don't want to get
Well, you
into
say
that.
versus.
well, I'm gonna segue on that. What got me really hooked on skating, and I still have the VHS at home, is was it 97 or 98 X Games, and it was the one that Feinberg won. It was the black with like the pink
that
and
was
yellow.
97.
97,
Yeah.
and then was it Tag Chris, yourself, and Solano in the final? Who won that? I can't remember.
Yeah, 97 was the one that Wardy.
No, 97 was Tim Ward.
Must have been 98.
98.
Was that you? Did
Yeah,
you
it was
You
me,
won
me,
98,
and
yeah.
then- me and then Salome.
So
I
Tom
have
won
that at home on
96.
VHS still.
Tom won 96, Tim won 97, and you won 98.
No. Renee won 96.
Alright, Tom won
okay.
95.
95.
Yeah. Whew, not bad.
So the bottom line, what were we
Oh, it's just that for me personally is what got me into skating so hard.
Because that was one of the highest viewed ones.
Yeah.
Right, and that got a lot of people into skating, whether it was street or whatever. It didn't matter. It just got people.
But that was
into
to
skating.
your point. Like that's like I watched that and I was like, oh my god, that's amazing. There's no way I think I was maybe 11, 12 years old at the time, and I'm going, there's no way I'm going to drop in on a vert ramp at that age. But I want to do that. Yeah, that was like, that was, again, highly viewed on TV, and straight away, I need to get skates, I need to do that.
Well, a lot of people used to say, ESPN sucks, but ESPN got the word out.
Yeah, for sure.
We went to villages in Peru.
It was the distributor of the art.
Yeah, well, we went to villages in Peru where there was 3 channels on the TV, and one of them was ESPN. The other 2 were soccer. You know, and you can say it's commercial.
He was on all 3.
It's commercial, this and that, but it got the word out. Then it got so many people skating and interested in skating, and we would get recognised in the streets. People knew our names. You'd go to a sports bar and anywhere in America, and one of the screens would have skating on it.
When's the last time you got recognised?
Every time I come to Melbourne.
Really?
In the street. And the last time I got
What, does somebody or someone says that you Cesar Mora? I seen you on there.
Yeah.
Really?
So there's I can't remember his name.
Good on you, Melbourne.
He works at Simple in Mr.
No
Simple.
way, it's Zac.
Zach.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Shout out Zac, my man.
So Zach was staring at me in the shop,
Yeah,
right?
he's an old school man.
And there was a couple of Asian guys in the shop too. I'm thinking, this guy thinks I'm going to steal something. So I was just minding my own business, walking around, and when the Asian guys walked out, he goes, "Excuse me, man." I'm like, "Oh."
I can't wait for Zac to see this story, man.
And he said, "Are you Cesar Mora?" I'm like, "Oh, thank God, yeah."
I can the thing in my pocket. I'll leave it there. But
I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Oh, I'm Zac. I used to skate with the guys. I live near Tim Ward and all that." Oh, so I stayed in the shop, talked to him for half an hour. But every time in Melbourne, I get recognised everywhere, somewhere, because I'm always around Prahran or the city.
When's the last time you put a pair of boots on?
It was last year.
You got bad hips, right? Or a bad hip?
One bad hip.
From skating?
I think it is, but the surgeons say it's.
So it wasn't like something happened one day, it's just been a
I think
gradual deterioration.
I've had a few bad slams on my hip, and it's calcified, and it's caused a block where I in between the joint. So it's been rubbing for all those years, and it's worn away the cartilage, and now I can't stretch it as much. I can't sprint 100%. It's sudden movement. So if in a controlled environment we have to run straight, like I did the marathon last year, because it was controlled, it's not speedy, it's like this pace, run straight, there's no sidestepping, it's not like soccer and skating is the 2 worst things for my hip. I can't, it just kills. So I was in Queensland.
I'm starting a mixed netball team if you want to join that. It's great.
Mate, you know how many injuries the netballers get? It's one of the highest injury sports. But I was in Queensland working, and there's a kid called Andrew. Do you know Andrew?
Strableski.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Andrew Stachewski, aka Andrew Strableski. Stachewski.
So he hit me up on Instagram, and I was like, okay. He's like, well, there's a ramp. You ever come up here? There's a ramp up here, and I'll take you, and you can help me skate, whatever. I'm like, all right, because if I give him
the kid's under 18 champion 3 years running.
Right. Well, I didn't know, and I thought he's this crazy kid, but I gave him my word. And
he is a crazy kid.
If I give someone my word, I'll do it. So I contacted him months later. 6 months later, I said, "Hey man, are you still?" He goes, "Oh yeah." I said, "Well, I'll be up soon, next week. Get a few guys together, and I know Shane from up there as well."
Yeah.
Lazarus.
Yeah. He was down in Tasmania with me on the weekend. He came second in the over 30s.
Muscliest legs you've ever seen.
Oh yeah, I heard that. So you were calling him out a chicken leg. Yeah.
You'd think a guy who works in the gym will have some muscle. I love Shane. He's awesome.
He had some strong enough legs on the weekend in Tassie, man.
Yeah. Nah, he's awesome. So they took it to a nice little little skate park there, and even the skateboards were pretty chill. It was nice. I couldn't even grab a proper mute, like to tuck my leg.
So you put on, what skates did you have?
The Majestics. That's my skates. That's
so
always been
vintage ones or newer ones?
No.
Majestics.
Older ones.
These are cool from Bayside, some old Majestics.
Either the blue K2s or the Majestics.
Wow.
Never liked the Fifth Elements. Never, ever. They forced me to wear them because I wore those.
Yeah, you had the black on black ones, right? Or the blue?
Blue, dark blue. I had those longer than I should have. They're like, look, everyone's watching you skate on TV. We need to sell the Fifth Elements. We need you to stop wearing Majestics. And I hated the Fifth Elements.
And that was the end of you and Roche's, wasn't it?
Well, a year after that, yeah. Apart from other things,
The story of you and those yellow
custody Impalas is pretty cool. That's
just it's been told.
Another accent.
I was gonna say it's been told on another podcast, but just tell it again briefly. Like
I'll tell it quickly. 95 X Games, right? We go there. My first X Games, no idea what an X Games is. They come down to the ramp, and they say, "Oh, we need some guys to do the downhill skating, rollerblading as well. Any of you guys want to do it?" Me, Arlo, Ivano Gagliardo, who's from Switzerland, who does that stuff in Switzerland. Brooke Howard Smith, that was it, I think. They took us up to the mountain in Providence, Rhode Island, and I created myself a tag, a Rosa's tag, like printed it out and made like a sticker for myself to hang it off my bag. And I was walking past the Rosa's booth, but I didn't know anyone. And the head guy, Keith Detremont, the head guy from Rosa's, super nice guy. He said to me, "Excuse me, man, like, what's that tag on your bag?" I said, "It's a Rosa's tag." He goes, "Where did you get that from?" Because he's never seen that tag before. Like, they don't make it. I said, I made it. He goes, "Where are you from?" I go, "Australia." He goes, "What's your name?" I go, "You're Cesar Mora." He knew I was coming. He knew, but he never met me or seen me or anything. He goes, "Oh, I'm the owner of Rose," or whatever. I was like, "Oh, super nice guy." He goes, "You're going to do the downhill?" I said, "Yeah." He goes, "In those skates?" I was like, "Yeah." He goes, "Just take these." And he gave me I think they were the Mexicos with the yellow cuff, the normal boot, but they had a 5-wool frame.
Oh, yeah.
The big 5-wool frame, right? And then, so something happened to my skate. So all I did when I skated ramp was I switched the frame over. So I skated in yellow cuffs, but with the frames, the Pullar frames.
Just switch the frame over, had a riveting tool in my backpack and
No, we did. That's what it was.
Yeah.
So we take frames off all the time.
They just catch it, man.
Now 2 bolts done.
2 bolts done, but before you need to drill out rivets and get rivets.
It was a whole workshop you had in your hotel room. But I did it because I had to. It was not intentional.
You were riveting frames on in the hotel room?
Yeah.
Wow.
Not riveting. They had a big bolt in the middle, 2 bolts, and then it was a complicated thing, but they would move. If you landed on on a high air, they would move.
That's right. They had base plates that would screw into.
They had base plates. Yeah. So I just did it out of necessity, not because I was trying to do anything different. And then, so that was hugely televised, that event, 95X Games. It was more viewed than the Stanley Cup, which was the Hockey Cup, right? And that's ridiculous. And then we'd go to skate parks after that, and all these kids had yellow cups painted. I'm like, is this, what's going on? And everyone's like, oh, and everyone knew my name. I didn't understand ESPN was so powerful and so big, And then, so people started calling Rosi's, asking for these skates at shops. And like, we don't make them. We don't do that. And then they're telling me, like, can you wear other skates? I'm like, well, I've only got these ones with me and everyone wants them. Why don't you just make them? And that's how they brought them out.
And you didn't get a cut of the yellow cup sales?
No, not at all. And so, and these things, these white ones, me and Toby Heslop went to Thailand for a week. We did shows there in schools with the kids. Beautiful experience. We got a fax from Rosi's on the second day that we were on national TV. All white Majestics sold out in this country.
Wow.
Completely sold out. That's when I realised the power of
they're
us.
pretty nice looking skate. I can understand it.
Right? That's when I realised the influence we had and the power of us. I started asking DC guys about their shoes and how they get $7 for a pair of shoes. The shoes are only worth $70. I was like, well, wouldn't it be fair to give us $10 for a pair of skates? Put our names on it or something like that. They didn't flinch. They wouldn't do it. They just would not do it.
It's interesting,
and the skate industry.
Well,
Roaches,
yeah, wouldn't do it. And apart from other things, I mean, just progression in general. I wanted to make change. Then I had this other company, K2, who was offering me more money, but it wasn't so much about the money, but they were offering me more money, and they were saying, "We'll give you whatever you want." I said, "What if I can't ride your skate?" They said,
"We'll build you a skate that you can ride."
No. They said, ride whatever you want, just put our sticker on your helmet until we make you a skate. Right?
Okay.
And I was like, look, just send me a few skates. I'll test them. I'll tell you what I want to change on them. So I got those blue ones made up in blue, heel lift, strap across the top for vert, or loosen it if you want to do street, toe cap on the side, not a big ugly thing on the front. What else? They get embroidered, whatever you want on the tone. I rode Ian Smith, Matt, everyone came to Vertex that day to watch me slam on K2s. And it took me about 3 runs and they were beautiful.
Yeah.
Comfortable as.
Did you like the Kings?
No.
They're my dream skates.
Not for vert.
Oh, dude. I've been looking for a pair of those since about 1999.
Been actively abusing members of the K2 corporation.
To bring you back. There was certain K2s that you just couldn't ride on vert.
Yeah.
They were just one piece and they didn't flex at all.
Oh man, I wanted those skates like nothing else. I would kill for a pair in a size 11, but that's digressing to another thing. But you said, like you mentioned, so you wanted to get, you spoke to the DC guys, right? They're getting paid, like not to go into to cash and stuff. Are you across like what Julio's doing with them skates and stuff, and how that's kind of, you've got now companies that are, let's say, skater owned, so fully skater owned, where he'll say, okay, I'm actively going to raise the price of this skate by $10-15, so that pro, like the numbers are tiny now, we're talking 1,000 skates, right? 2,000 skates maybe, but at least they've got something to semi live off for a while, like.
And that's how it always should have been.
Yeah.
That's
okay,
how it always
cool.
should have been, because our industry, the reason why we had what happened to us, is because we were run by.
They weren't skaters.
They came in, business people, making a buck, quick buck, left.
Yeah.
Right? We didn't have great representatives. I mean, we had Arlo and Chris Edwards, but they're skaters. They can't do everything on their own, you know. And then if you look at the BMX industry, they would not accept anyone that wasn't a BMXer.
Yeah.
All of their companies are owned by BMXers, ex-BMXers, BMX, whatever.
Yeah.
They're all owned. They just wouldn't allow it.
Yeah.
We were too new. We were too young. Everyone was young. I mean, let's talk about the talents from Tim Ward, Dion, Josh Clark, Josh Pincus, all these guys that left here. I was a little bit older. Solono. They were babies.
Yeah.
Who taught them to read a contract?
No one.
Who taught them when to pay their taxes at the end of the year?
Yeah.
Who taught them how to catch a shuttle from LAX to what hotel?
Yeah.
You know, they're babies. So these guys are signing. These
still
companies
managed to find weed, didn't they?
Huh?
They still managed to find weed every time they went.
I don't know anything about that.
No, but like I say, like these guys, they didn't have the life coaches, but they had the support team around them to like get them a bed, get them some bud, and they weren't all necessarily drinking underage, but they weren't being groomed as leaders.
Yeah.
No, it's difficult. So these other sports had their time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. Skateboarders are the same. All their companies are owned by skateboarders.
Yeah.
You're not having some guy from a random company coming in and.
Well, we're going to make market share off this. It's just going to be.
They won't allow it. They won't allow it, right? So it's all skater owned. But we didn't have enough skaters with the years behind
to see that. Yeah.
All we had was businessmen coming in, making their money and taking off once the sport started dying down, right? So Hoffman bikes, Tony Hawk skateboards. You can go on and on, DC.
Well, now it's Julio then.
Yeah,
and that's beautiful, and he should make a lot of money, and his skaters should make a lot of money, and more people should be more. There should be more companies like that out there, and there should have been more in the past. But you know, we were just a new sport. We were the fastest growing sport from 95 to 99, and it was just too big. We just grew too. We didn't know how to handle it.
Yeah.
Like,
you're a bit of you got a design bone in your body. Have you got an entrepreneurial bone in your body?
No, I hate money. I don't.
Okay, cool. Because I was going to say, did you ever want to dip into the industry yourself as a creative mind?
No, not
as a business person.
One, because I always got asked, why don't you start a company? Why don't you?
But even if you didn't want to start a company, did you want to ever be involved in a company and be part of the development of something or the design or?
But I lived here.
Yeah.
I lived here, and it was different. If you lived in America, if you're based in LA, then you can do stuff. But when you're here half the year, you can't start a company.
We're not as connected either back then, right?
We don't have the popular. No, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I was. What's a phone? We were doing everything via email. I was getting faxes at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
You know how loud those things were.
Yeah.
At 3 a.m. because that's what time it was in America, and that's how we communicated with faxes and.
Occasionally websites in the post.
Letters.
Yeah.
You know, that's how we communicated. You waited for this video to come out for 3 months to see what was on it.
Yeah.
Now we could go out right now and I could kill that rail out there and
the one next to it.
Yeah.
And you guys can send that around the world in half a minute.
Yeah.
You know?
It's live streamed right now. What are you talking about? They're already watching it.
Daily Bread was like 6 months wait, you know, like that's just how it was before. So it's
I think
it's very hard. We don't have the population here in Australia.
Yeah.
For me to even do anything to sustain it, to make any money off, to provide for others while I was still skating. That was the other thing. A lot of people try to do that. They tried to skate, and then everyone was involved in every company. It's like, it's not going to. How are you going to give your attention to that?
Jack of all trades, master of none.
You can't. And what's Julio done? He's concentrated on this. He's not competing. He's not doing that. He's concentrating on making this a good business, and he's doing the right things. He's always been a good guy. He's never done anything shifty. He's never done anything for money. I had a talk with him one day about how you should maybe watch who's... You should be paying you some more money for what you're doing. But he was never like that, you know?
Never felt entitled.
It's interesting, like you said, like it's a beautiful thing with that, right? Like them skates, the whole skater own thing. We're in a position where everyone says, oh, what's going to save rollerblading? What's this, that, and the other? And I think there's something almost to be said for, you know, self-deprecating rollerbladers, like, oh, you know, if only they could see how cool it is, and they always like chip on their shoulder. Fuck that, just go skating. Like, I think that's like, from what I'm hearing from the conversation about when skating had this huge boom behind it in the late 90s, you're saying, you know, you've got you guys just seshing around and just having fun. You're not there going, oh, come have a look at how great this is. It just you can just see people having fun. And like, we're starting to see that now. You go on a session on a Thursday, or whatever it is in your local town, and you'll go to the skate park and there'll be people and they just pick up on this vibe of fun. And I think that's something that sort of needs to be said. It's not about showing people how amazing this is and stuff.
It's not about performing.
Yeah, it's not a performance. It's a lifestyle. It's more of an art. Yes, there's a performance aspect to it. There's competitions and stuff, but it's at a point where you've almost got to start at this ground zero and just have fun, man. Like,
I get a bit over people pulling out the camera sometimes where I'm like, we're not performing, I'm just doing my thing. But that looks good. I'm like, you know what, it's not for anyone else, it's just for us today.
This is the thing. Now there's about 5% of your skating that's not recorded. Back in the day, it was 5% of skating that we actually recorded.
Yeah.
So any footage you see of me, that's like 1% of all the skating that I did. Same with everyone. No one went with cameras to the skate park. We just sessioned. Happened to have a photographer come along every now and then, grab some photos, but we just sessioned because we wanted to I would skate vertex every second night for 4 hours sometimes. Like smash that roof, change shirts because I was so dripping. Sometimes by myself, sometimes with a couple of guys. All night.
The roof. Old vertex
with
roof.
the bell?
Just to get off the bell.
Were
just to
you
get some
hanging off it at one time?
Yeah.
Where did that go?
And then I hung off the chicken wire off the roof and swung and slipped and landed headfirst on the flat, and that's where I got that.
Oh.
That
Well.
That. Yeah.
You did your collarbone?
That was one of the most painful. Couldn't sleep for like 2 weeks after that, so...
Swinging out of the rafters to land into...
Because
touch the roof.
Well, see, there's a technique to that.
The axis was all wrong.
So when you grab the chicken wire, you have to go up like a dolphin, straight, right? And grab it and then drop back in. But if you go up like an air, you're going sideways.
Yeah.
Grab it, it's going to swing you around, and I learned that,
The hard
You
way.
flip back in.
So regarding bottom line, they obviously heard about some crazy guy who doesn't wear a helmet and shirt down at Bondi doing 900s.
They being Morgan and Sean?
Video Groove, yeah. So they got a guy to come out and...
Morgenstone, Sean Tomlin.
Yeah.
And Dave was in on it at the time?
No, not at that time.
Okay.
No. And they got a guy here called Damien, who was a distributor of Video Groove, to come. They wanted to get footage of me. And so he filmed a section. This guy never filmed in his life. I just said, look, just shoot this trick from there, just go from there, right? And he did a really good job. Sent it to him. They sent me a thing saying, amazing. I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah. No idea I was going to be in a video. They said it was maybe...
The Sydney section is the Cesar Mora section.
Well, I didn't know, and it was a whole section, and I was working at the store, and I put it on the TV, and I couldn't believe it, you know? It was black and white. I don't even like that song, but the song suits the...
I was going to say, I love Rancid. It's not a great band, it's not a good song, but I just love it.
It just suits the footage.
The rawness, man, yeah.
That footage went everywhere, and to the point where Renee Holgren, who I saw at the time, was like, whoa, this guy... He wrote a thing on Daily Bread saying, that guy rocks in the... I was like, he saw the video and he liked it. Like, that was... I hadn't gone to the States.
And like 2 years later, he was skating the Bondi vert in the Aussie titles.
Yeah.
And won. Did he win?
What sort of feeling, like, you bring that home? Do you show your parents that? Like, you're saying they're removed from skating and stuff?
Lived on my own.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, so you wouldn't be like, hey, I was in this, like, it's not really a thing, or...
Back then, no, people would show me.
Yeah, okay.
Like, people would... I had my girlfriend, I didn't really... All my friends were... They knew I did this, and all my soccer friends were there. I didn't...
It's not something you... So, yeah, no, okay.
They would see me like 5 years later.
Yeah.
Going, man, I was in a hotel in Malaysia, and I saw Cesar Mora skating. What the hell?
Yeah.
Like, soccer players didn't understand how I went from soccer to skating. It was just didn't fit, you know, in their mind. But yeah, that was it turned out to be a breakthrough video for me. Like, it was
It put you on the map
Went
and gave you a lot of
worldwide.
opportunities.
Yeah, and it was,
They had good distribution, right? Like it was everywhere.
yeah, it was good, and it's good memories when I see that cover. That's good memories.
It certainly brings you joy.
Even though the style is crap, but it's just raw, and it's what I was at the time. I was developing still. I was speaking to Miguel Camino, whatever.
Miguel Ramos.
Miguel Ramos.
Yeah.
Instagram, and because he posted some video about me from that era, and I said I hate watching myself, and he goes, "Mateo," he goes, "That was you. That was raw. That was how you developed into what you ended up becoming."
It's like a band's debut record.
Yeah, but some guys like Tim had a really cool little style. Salerno always had a nice style. You know, Manuel had an awesome style. You know,
all got better. I know.
I didn't.
Yeah.
I
See, that's the thing with style, man. It's all open to the perceiver.
Well, we were talking about that before. Like, you go through an old Daily Bread and stuff, and you're like, on this page, you're like, yeah, that aged well. And then you go to the next page, you're like, oh, God, that was...
Yeah, some things aged well.
There's fad tricks, and like tattoos. Fad tattoos are not good. But there's fad tricks that they look good at the time, but they stop doing them quickly.
That's one of the things I wanted to touch on, like faux pas on vert. What is airing below the coping and things like that? Like, we're talking about it in the context of... And this is something that's new and doesn't sit well with either of us at all. It's one of the reasons we started this podcast. And that is trick integrity and how we like to see skating. Yeah, now, if you can't do a vert trick above the coping, was it then considered?
Say it's not counted, but it depends what trick. I mean, it depends if you're doing a run.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Okay,
yeah.
So say it's not the end of your run. And you aren't lacking energy, you got no excuse. Everything is above.
You've had your wheat beans.
Yeah.
Everyone finishes with an invert and a couple of little things. But if you're sessioning with a rev or you're filming for a video or whatever, is it like below the coping? No way, Jose. Or there's certain tricks
no.
Again, for example, two-handed handstands were a thing in the 90s. Ho-hos. Yeah. They're not such a thing anymore.
I got laughed at in the competition at the end.
Do you have any time for a ho-ho in the modern world? Do you think that they still have their place in skating?
It depends who you are, what you're doing.
I think who does it.
And I'm going to tell you are Cesar Mora, and I'm asking you and for your opinion on if someone did a ho-ho in a competition, would you be like, oh, come on, mate? Or would you be like, oh, yeah.
What competition?
The competition...
Tassie titles?
Yeah, Tassie titles, for example.
Could be... Depends what the rest of the competition's like. Might spice it up a little. If he comes in forwards,
that's the first entrant in the Tassie titles drops in and does a ho-ho as their third trick and you're judging. Are you kind of like... Oh, you're not even judging, you're just there. Is your observation like, haha, we used to do that? Or, oh yeah, I used to do that with a grab. Or, Jesus, what are they still doing that for? Or... Oh, it's good to see that still getting done.
Yeah, no, it depends who it is.
Yeah.
If it's a guy who thinks he's pro, then no.
No.
Yeah.
If it's a guy that's learning and finding his bearings, then...
Alright, in that case, say for example, you just saw a clip in the video and you don't know any backstory or context behind the trick.
I'd be, why is that in the video?
Okay, there we go, that's what I'm getting at. So
there's a lot of tricks like... I mean, if you're going to do a video, it's got to be your best.
So what are some of the tricks that you were like, I'm glad we stopped doing that? I mean, there's obviously... the obvious ones like a double-handed invert, a ho-ho, or maybe any sort of one-footed roll across the deck before dropping in. Like that used to be acceptable to do between tricks. I did a such and rolled up, and instead of doing a grind or a stall or whatever, I just rolled along the deck and jumped back in. I mean, even Edwards was doing that in televised competitions, but you wouldn't see it done anymore.
No.
Now you wouldn't see a single wall that isn't a trick anymore. There was maybe one
You'd
warm
have
up.
set-up airs.
You used to have lots of set-up airs, but not anymore.
That's one of my issues too.
A set-up air or a backside stall.
Set-up airs.
There you go.
When you're a pro,
this is what I'm getting.
This is to all past, present, future pros. If you're a pro skater getting paid and you're on the world circuit and you're up there doing mute after, or not even, and you're not grabbing, you're not accentuating, then what are you doing? You watch old skateboarding, and it was like Christ there. It was like nose bone. It was like method.
Every wall was another note.
Yeah.
And it was accentuated to the max. And some of them don't look good fully accentuated, but at least they're doing something. Sometimes a style doesn't have to be accentuated. A style can look good if you just hold it right and flat. You know. Basically, when I try to if someone's getting into vert and I try to work with them, I try to tell them to think, because their instincts are going to go up and down, up and down, up and down, and the same panel. Think of it if you're in a helicopter and you're looking down, and the pattern that the skater's making. All right? It has to be like a figure 8. It has to be, all the panels have to be touched. You can't just be bing, 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 bing. That's, you know.
Yeah, you play the length of the piano.
Right. So how do you get from that side of the ramp to the middle on this one, then back to the other? Well, how about we start with this corner, an air right in the corner, beautiful, because you can control it. You're turning left into that corner air. Nice big grind all the way across, right? With that grind, it's not all about the grind. The grind's a setup for more power for the next air on the other side. And the next air is going to be a nice Liu Kang flat. So you come in and you're going to alley-oop a 720 to get back to the other side of the ramp, where you can fakie 360 and invert, and then hit the middle of the ramp, set yourself up for other tricks.
See, it's not just putting your songs in order, it's which song flows into the next song.
That's it.
When you play pool,
It's like a DJ set.
when you play pool,
You don't just get the red ball in, you know where you want to put
up.
the white ball after you hit it.
Yeah.
right? So I try to tell people, like, use the whole ramp. And even if you're not doing any tricks when you're learning, learn how to feel comfortable tucking your legs up, carving, going in from a carve into an alley-oop, which is a different trick, and then into a straight, and then backwards. Maybe do a carve going backwards, zero spin, whatever it's called, then go forwards again, alley-oop, and how about what I used to like doing, an simple alley-oop air, nice and tucked, into a switch air. Right? So nice. You just created a circle. You've ended up back in the center of the ramp, where you're going to spin a 720 carved into the corner of the other ramp. Right?
And you just turn both ways, so you're feeling all naturally balanced.
Yeah.
Okay,
right? And so I try to tell people, like, just get comfortable airing. Get comfortable driving around a racetrack before you do donuts. Just get comfortable with the corners, get comfortable with the speed, get comfortable with the height. Because I'm telling you,
this is what I tell people about skating the bloody coping box in the backyard. Like, jump and roll on it before you start trying to lock your feet in technically hard positions and grind.
Because you got to feel the weight on that box and how much you apply on one leg more than the other, the height when you take off.
The height when you jump off, you know. It's
a this question as well. It's like there was a shift away from vert skating, street skating, whatever. And then there was this huge movement towards street skating. And then I see a lot of people, particularly kids, when they start out, they're like, you know what, I just want to learn to grind. I just want to do grind. It's the only thing to do. But yet they can't drop in. They can't roll backwards. They can't do that. You've got to learn to skate, right?
I had pros saying to me, to my face, I won't name them, I only ride park, or I only do ledges. I don't do park. I only do ledges.
Yeah.
I don't do rails anymore. I just do that. I'm like,
what?
Why?
Yeah.
Why can't you skate everything? Why can't you skate the rail to the ledge and then go into the bowl and have a mini session? It became so closed and so compartmentalized. It didn't do us any good. And I see now people appreciating everything.
Yeah.
I see people. Joe Atkins wears a freaking business shirt.
Yeah.
With a helmet with ears on.
Yeah.
Like, that was not acceptable back in the day. He's wearing pants and he's just got his own style.
Yeah.
And he'll ride a vert ramp and he'll get heaps of love on Instagram.
Yeah.
And then he'll do some crazy. Like, did you see the last thing he did with that mural? That elephant mural in the background, this steep rail.
Yeah, that was off the Del Fondio tour. That Formosa poster. That was their second one in Greece. That was
Greece.
Yeah.
That was crazy.
Yeah,
but he got the same love for that, and no one cares that he's just doing crazy stuff.
So that's what I mean. Like, he's like the new ramp skater. Like,
all-terrain vehicle.
You know, you look at Jacko Jabi, crazy guy who everyone remembers CJ winning the feast, but this other crazy backflip to vert wall this guy did.
Yeah, I don't know if that's hard, but it was cool.
It was.
Well, that guy's got some legs, and I just found out the other day that he's been doing Caesars in China, working at theme parks there. And for me, the penny dropped. I was like, oh my god! I was wondering how he was doing it. Was it roids or something? No, it's actually he's got this professional training facility that he gets paid to endure, and so he was doing crazy transition tricks, and then his final attempt at a trick at a Oblique Clash was to disaster off something to a rail to grind. And so this is one of the best ramp skaters in the world, and he's also trying one of the gnarliest street tricks on the same day. And so the best ramp skater, we're talking about Joe, the new star, is also doing some drop rail off the side of a building, and like the lines are so blurred between vert and ramp because there is no more vert. It's just
good. It should be. He just started. He just did some videos skating with Takeshi, you know. And I'd love to have time off work and whatever to have Joe come here for a month even.
See, Takeshi isn't the modern ramp skater. We still don't see street footage of that guy.
Yeah.
Takeshi, yeah.
We're still waiting. We're still
I
waiting.
know,
He's pretty good.
I know, but we still, for the amount of stuff we've seen of that guy and hearing from so many people that he is pretty good, damn it, I want to see a bit more of this pretty good stuff that I haven't seen much of at all.
Good, but that's the thing. I used to love street. I used to watch every street contest because I would go there and support Blake and Josh Clark and all the rest of the guys. Sometimes they'd ask me, what do you think about this line, or should I do this trick? And I'd sit there and support them and watch them, and I used to love it. And then Feinberg used to kill it, and Bergeron used to kill it. And I used to get pumped, and by the end of it, I was exhausted. I was so invested in it, you know. I loved it. And I loved going on street skates, even when I stopped doing rails, just to go watch them.
Yeah,
Do you remember Josh Pincus doing that Martin Place shifty rail where he's got the straight jacket on, he's looking over his shoulder? We worked that out in the shop.
The drop rail, the look back shifty of all look backs.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
We worked that out on a little rail in the shop. I go, do it more. He goes, what do you mean? I go, just look over, try to look at your skates but behind your back. He goes, what? I go, just try it. And it just developed. Okay, we got to shoot that with a straight jacket on or something, and that's how that came about. I was always invested. I love street. I just wasn't a natural at it. And I got to a point where I had to choose one or the other because my body was just getting wrecked. And
you had opportunities. It wasn't like...
I skated street contests. I did a couple.
Yeah.
Right? Because they got launch boxes. I could do 900s over them or 720s.
You can 900 launch box?
Back in 95.
Sick.
Wow.
But I did a rail in Miami in this. Like, I would give it a go. I'm not a street skater. I never claimed to be, but I loved going. When we were in New York with Jack Lone and Ortega and all that, I'd go with them. If I could do something, I'd do it. If I couldn't, I'd just watch them and let's go to the next spot.
So tell me, because you did deal with the FR crew and they had some standards over in New York, your wheels suck. Tell us about the mentality and mantras in that little pocket of people.
This family.
Yeah, because you can tell that they were a family, and they also had an attitude of what skating is and can be and should be.
Standards, like...
They're just family. You had guys that...
What's the name of the dude? The FR dude?
Nick Hartman.
Hartman, yeah. So I was watching footage of him saying, if you want to drive around from spot to spot, then go to California. We skate from spot to spot.
No, we used to skate from like 5th Street to 100 and something street.
As a clan.
Like through ghettos, and like there was drama and like let's get out of here, and almost getting hit by cars because we used to look the wrong way when we crossed the road on our skates where buses go straight in front of us. It was a great experience, but they were I mean, they're guys that I could go there now and still stay at their house. They take you in. It's long term, where in other places it's kind of you're forgotten. And it was always a family feel, and I always gave everything from FR, and they saw that. I never jumped. I got offered money from Hyper for many years, and I never took it. I didn't want to skate Cosmos because they wanted to make me skate with the helmet on.
What do you mean?
Also, Tim Dorr spoke with Scotty and said, I want to come and see Cesar at the ramp and talk about a sponsorship, whatever. I was working at Bondi at the time. Did a little show for him. Session, me and Scotty just sessioned, and he gave me these wheels, the red ones, and he gave me these white ones with the core cut out, the prototypes. They were super hard. And to be honest, they were a bit slippery for the stuff I was doing. I wasn't that stable, I guess, or whatever. He called me up at the shop at Tim Dorr, the owner of Cosmo, and he said, really impressed with your skating, it was great,
You were working where? Bondi Boards
and Blades, yeah. He's like, but you didn't wear a helmet. I was like, I don't, because skating to me was freedom, and I do it in my own time.
You're like, it wasn't in a contest,
I do it however I want. And he's like, well, my skaters wear helmets. And I was like, well, I guess I'll never be your skater then. And that was the end of it.
Is that kind of the tone of the conversation?
No, that was it.
Yeah.
But we were always cordial with each other.
Yeah.
How are you, Tim? I'd see him at shows and whatever. It was always good.
Was he at the old school slam that Josh organised last year? I mean, Josh Scott organised last year?
No, everyone else but him was
Danny Crank was there, right?
Yeah. But I used to have to order stuff from him still in the shop. I used to have to order stuff from him. I'd see him around. I understood, that's fine. And I wasn't like, okay, if I had that family feel, I had that whatever feel, I probably wasn't a Cosmo skater.
Yeah.
I never felt like that. So that's okay. They were amazing wheels. you know, never doubted that. But I found a wheel with FR that I loved more than the Cosmos I was riding because they had just a bit more grip.
What colour were yours? Green?
No, was
they're
Ryan's.
all white.
Mine were white with blue.
Blue, yeah.
Okay.
They just had more grip. They were a bit softer because even the Renee's like one of the best wheels. I rode them, but they were just hard.
Did you always skate flat?
No, always skated because the ramp is curved, so I always skated rocker,
yeah.
just 1 mil.
Wow.
So that.
But you were conscious of it.
All wheels. Yeah.
So you would just look at your setup. Say for example, you go back to your workshop / hotel room, and you go, all right, I'm gonna rotate my wheels, and I'll put the 2 smaller ones on the outside. That way it's rocketed.
No.
You used to have the rockers.
You had the little rocker spaces.
Oh, you just rocket them
Instead
up.
of up or down, you do it crossways.
Yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
I tried anti-rock once. That was a nightmare. Flat was fine on most ramps, but I like the just rock it just a little bit.
That metal versus plastic frames.
Well, that's it.
That's
man.
interesting because this is like a big thing now. So they've started making frames in metal, right? So it's this new thing, but obviously they're almost the same as this, like the way they design and stuff. You skated those. What did you have a preference? Did it make a difference to you?
Yeah. So these ones. So I'm going to speak for ramp. I rode them on street, and what happens on street is it chews them up.
Yeah.
And you start getting really sharp splinters from them. So when I'd ride the vert and I'd grab my skates, my hands were like, you know when you cut the tip of your finger?
Yeah.
There was that. They wouldn't slide on everything. And then the way the bolts were from the heel and just under the sole, if you did a big air or even like I 540'd at the Bondi wall off the car park onto the floor.
Yeah.
The promenade, which was supposed to be a 360, but because I was so high, it just
kept rotating.
An extra half I landed, bang, right on my landed it. I took it all on my right heel.
Yeah.
I was bruised for a month. Like you can't do anything for a bruised heel.
No.
I learned.
Yeah.
So the frame completely came off. I remember Salerno in '95 here, St Kilda, came off an air, came down, and the front bolt moved, and he slammed, because the whole frame moved. So they had that issue. Then if you didn't tight enough so they wouldn't move, you could never get them off.
Yeah.
And if they shifted a little bit, because they would
What
shift.
about speed, weight transfer and stuff, like efficiency? I mean, that's the idea behind a metal frame, and if this guy's not even fast, then it sounds like the whole thing's a bunch of nonsense.
I don't know. You get used to whatever. Salerno rode filler skates.
So you had like, say, Majestics and Impalas, and you wouldn't notice such a difference in the speed enough?
Speed of what?
Of your airs, or just like boosting and stuff?
Okay.
No, you get used to, I got used to K2s. Every skate, I rode those big cats.
Yeah.
Got used to those. It's you get used to whatever you're given. I remember one time I was, can't remember if it was Baltimore or somewhere. My baggage got lost, so I had to skate someone else's skates, and it was horrible. I remember how bad it was. My feet were going like this way, but then by the end of it, I got used to it. I was blasting.
You get dialed in and you're good to go.
Yeah. You just don't go as high because the wheels weren't as.
You got away with it.
Yeah.
Or whatever. But you get used to it. I don't know. Like I use physics on my frame, on my boots. They're great.
Yeah.
I don't know if these new metal frames are any different or
better.
For
For me, I'm a heavy guy. I'm a hefty dude, so I like them because normal plastic frames are all flexy and like feel flimsy and stuff. But then this guy will go jump off buildings all the time, so he'll skate like physics or something with suspension just because it feels better. So I think it's good to have choice, right? To have different things.
Mate, that's the beauty of having choice of different companies, different things. So Tim Ward last night, I was talking to him, and he said he had Solomon's for a little bit.
Yeah.
And he said he couldn't believe how comfortable and how natural they felt.
Yeah.
So
even after being you could be professional for a company.
Yeah.
And then I got washed up and tried these other things, and it turns out I was cheating myself out of a comfy couch for my foot.
Well, that's ski boot technology.
Yeah.
But the thing with skates is, for street skaters more so, I think if you've got too much padding, too much inner soles, too much the bottom section, you don't
feel where you are.
You lose tact on the rail. You lose tact on what you are. So you got to find a balance where. That's why when the skates started getting huge and ridiculous, like snow boots, like snowboard boots.
Yeah, those K2.
Those K2 things, they were, yeah.
I just couldn't handle it.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
And like I did a gap of something high in those, and the footbed in those giant snowboardy K2s was second to none. But yeah, everything else about it was, you just felt detached from the world. Like you're driving a big truck.
Yeah. So I don't know what the new ones look like, or if they're made of the same material.
Yeah, they're fairly similar, but
they seem to
that's what Joe.
them,
But the reason I brought that up is that's what Joe skates, right? And he's super.
Is he in the solids?
Yeah, he was part of that whole like putting that stuff together. It seems to work really well for him. So I guess that's it. It's different things for different people, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if it's a material that slides a bit better. I'm not sure, but yeah, it seems to work for him. So
Material that slides. What do you know? It's not like you rode for K2. Oh, you did ride for Teflon. Tell us about those sole plates that were the best sole plates ever. Those nylon, Teflon.
Really big ones.
No, the ones on like the Style Points and the Kings. That white Teflon sole. Ooh-wee.
I probably took those off, mate.
Oh really? That's the best, just like how they had the white spots underneath there.
Built into the
Yeah.
That was so durable. That was so nice.
They were long lasting as well. Yeah. Not only did they slide the best ever, they were long lasting.
That's a good idea. That's a good innovation, you know.
Metal versus plastic. There you go.
K2
he wasn't
always
fussed about the metal over plastic at all. That's really interesting.
Yeah. K2 was always up for
technological advances and experiments.
Whatever. Like give us ideas.
Well, this is completely unrelated to like opinions and trick theory, but as someone that rode for K2 in Australia, and is comfortable speaking on the record about how disenchanted I was with their brand, what was it like for you? It wasn't a cool brand. There was no cool K2 videos out on the market dominating the scene, making everyone unaware. Yeah, here and abroad. Like, it was just a jock sort of company in the world of the core blade scene, I thought. I mean, like, I liked Senate and stuff like that. And so it's like, here's some free K2s. Well, sick. And here's a free t-shirt to wear. Well, no, the t-shirt's not that cool. You know what I mean?
Oh, they did a lot of cool stuff. They did.
As a brand, they didn't have like kick-ass core.
I disagree, man. I'd say against like your era versus this era.
What did Rollerblade do?
Yeah, Rollerblade also had terrible ads and stuff.
Man, the K2 ad in the front of the Daily Bread magazine was the one you'd go to straight away. It was always a double page. You'd be like, "Damn, that's a picture I'm just going to stare at during my lunch break." Or like,
I think maybe because they just didn't have any cool threads. They had no cool shirt designs. They had logos printed on t-shirts, and that was cool.
I liked that.
Sorry, that was their version of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's also what they allow you to do there. So they're run by the fitness and ski industry, and if that industry is suffering, then they're not going to put more money into it. But they always did. They did videos, and they would hire like Ferraris and have to take us to Vegas and.
Yeah, no. I think that's why I thought they weren't very cool. They were just like this giant corporate jock in the middle of.
They were cool. They would all like, as far as the skaters went, you had any variation of colour that you wanted with your skates. That was a cool.
I mean, I know they treated everyone right.
They were good. They bought Willie Nelson's tour bus because Willie Nelson was in tax problems.
Oh,
sold it cheap, and they bought that and toured around with that. They did a lot of cool stuff. You know, they had a guy called before Mike Powell, sorry.
Yeah.
I keep getting the Mike. Before Mike Powell came in. Yeah. Mike Powell came in towards the end of it, but before him it was Matt Lacrosse, and he was the original team manager guy, and yeah, he would try to do as much of that cool stuff as he could, but you're limited. You don't. Everyone says, "Oh, you should do this," but you're limited. For me to get Rosis to change his shirt, I had a cockroach in my shirt when I won the X Games.
Roche's also crap threads. I never liked their threads.
Shocking.
Yeah.
Brown, olive green, burgundy, like
just some stripes in the word Roche's. Come on.
And there was such an effort to get them to change stuff, and everything was a battle. Every company, you're restricted. You can't just come in and say, "All right, let's change everything and do this." It's hard. Who was doing cool stuff? You know, tours. We were doing tours. We were doing. There was a lot of stuff that, like, Razors was doing cool stuff. Maybe they had that house where the strippers would go, and did you want to go that way? I don't know. Like, everyone was trying to do their own thing to separate themselves.
So like, I think Volo and them is like that's done right. John's done like the whole way that's been marketed and everything. It's
cool, but not too cool.
Yeah.
Self-mocking a little bit. Not self-mocking, but right from the start. John was like, "This is my brand. 2 thumbs up and speech bubbles, a little bit corny and cheesy because we're not serious," and that set a tone for the rest of the industry a little bit, where we're not serious anymore. We're just.
I think it's changed a lot too, right? You look at, like, again, how it's changed. We've come back from, like, FR. I was always drawn to FR because it was something about it that it was simplistic and just, like,
It had
basic.
attitude.
It had attitude, but it was like, there was
The sticker
something
said
about
"Your
it.
wheels suck." It wasn't
Yeah.
some stripy Roche's t-shirt. That's why they were a cool brand, and Roche's, I was like, yeah, whatever. Like, did you take pride in any brands you rode for, or were you just like, I just want the product?
No, like, yeah.
Like, I mean, not to say you were a loyal rider and stuff. You weren't
I
like,
rode
just give me a product, but
so I rode for Resi's for free for a year. The first year, I wasn't even getting paid.
no kidding.
And I was getting offers because I was staying in 95. Me, Tim, some of the other guys were staying in Mark Shay's house in Venice Beach, and he was the guy from Rollerblade. And he was like, "Look, I'm gonna offer you a contract, this much a month," which for me was like, whoa. The guy from Razor came to me directly that year as well. And when I saw the photo, it looked cheap. The skate was still new, it looked cheap. I said, "No, I appreciate it. Thank you. I'm going to stay with Rosi's, but good luck with your company." Ended up doing well, you know. Who else offered me K2, you know, every year, K2. But I just rode Rosi's because I love Rosi's. I love the company. I love the small family feel of the company because it's a small family run thing in the mountains in just up
In Italy.
in Montebelluna near Venice. And so I stayed with them. Then I did really well. Obviously, they paid me, started getting contracts, and then stayed with them for 4 or 5 years. But sometimes you get stale. It's like a soccer team. The player's been there too long. You just need to move on or whatever. And that's why I said to K2, what am I gonna do if I can't ride your skates? I don't want to put a sticker on my helmet and collect money. And they've made me. Luckily, I could skate the skate straight away. The way they changed it was beautiful. Loved it. A good example is FR. Hyper was offering me a lot of money. Hyper owned Boss bearings. I always rode Boss bearings. So I love Boss bearings. But the deal was you couldn't have Boss bearings unless you were sponsored by Hyper. And I told them, I'll buy the bearings. And they said, that's okay. We'll pay you, we'll still have you on. And I was the only skater that wasn't sponsored by Hyper and Boss bearings, right? And they would, and so every Wednesday I was staying at Huntington Beach. So every Wednesday they would send a guy out. He's forget his name, Phil. Really cool guy with a black Merc.
To take you out to lunch?
To take me out to dinner. After a few trips, he realised I was not going to budge. But he'd come over and take me out anyway. We'd have a chat, we became friends. But they left me alone. They never hassled me about Hyper anymore. They saw I was FR 100%. And FR, I asked FR if I could use their wheels. They didn't come to me. We stayed with FR in New York. And I said, I need some wheels to skate around the streets because I don't want to wreck my wheels. And they're like, oh, try these. I had these black prototypes. They were really good. We went to Malali Skate Park in the Bronx, which was a whole other experience. And they were really good. Me and Tim Wood were the first ones to go to Providence, Rhode Island to the X Games so we could test out the ramps. We were the first ones there. Everyone else came like in a few days. And these wheels were awesome. I was like, give me a new pair of those, but not black, but the white ones. Like, you sure? I'm like, yeah, man. That's what I rode. Loved them, right? And so I said to him, you know, can you make these in a whatever size I wanted at the time? I can't remember. He goes, yeah, man. Like, do you want to ride? I was like, I love these wheels. Like, done. That was it. And because I was so loyal to him, without getting paid, he gave me a pro wheel. And to me, that means more than someone giving me a check.
Yeah.
For whatever.
Oh, man, it's a legacy now.
Right? And ended up being 3 pro wheels. And that to me meant a lot. Like if Roasters had given me a pro skate, shown me that respect, and other skaters that respect, then that would have meant something. Right? So yeah, I always like if I could get sponsored by Adidas, I would.
Yeah.
But I would not get sponsored by ASIC if they came to me with a check. That's
okay. So you're going with stuff that you like the feel of and whatever.
Yeah.
What? So it's interesting. You spoke like pro products and stuff. You had a wheel. Did you have anything else?
Yeah. So I was because so many people come at you sunglasses on. I kept telling this one guy, I don't wear sunglasses. I never wear glasses.
Yeah, what the hell is L2 apparel anyway?
So that's Levi's.
Oh, okay.
So that was really cool because you could get. We're going through shorts.
Yeah,
like crazy. They'd have boxes at Levi's in San Francisco with our names on it.
Yeah.
With our sizes, ready to ship out to every comp. As soon as I'm going to be in New York, I need 6 pairs of the blue.
Yeah.
Bang, straight to my hotel. And Levi's was one of the best sponsors we ever had. They took care of us. It was me, Blake, Sam, Fabiola,
Dion.
Because
Dion started doing Levi's parties and stuff, right?
They were awesome. They were really awesome. They sponsored a lot of hip hop groups. So I was with my girlfriend in California, and she's like, Lauryn Hill's playing at the Staples Center. I'm like, oh shit, okay. She goes, don't Levi's do something because she saw a poster. So I called Levi's. The next day I had tickets about 5 rows behind Kobe Bryant, who was watching Lauryn Hill, and the pre-show was Busta Rhymes. And he's like, that's what they did.
Yeah.
They were awesome. They were awesome. Like, they were so good to us. Like, at the X Games in '99, they took us out to this big dinner and thanked us for everything we did. They picked us up from the hotel in the limousine. And we were just getting back from the ramp with our skates and our bags all dirty. They were a very good company. They were really, really good company. So something
when
like
people
that.
ask what the glory days were, these were the glory days.
When
Levi's picked you up in a
limousine. Straight from the comp, here's some fresh clothes, off you go,
I'll
guys.
drop you off at the gig. Let you know when you've finished. There's a Lauryn Hill show.
And when you, so you say, why Levi's? Because the option was Gap. And I hated Gap.
That's right.
Yeah.
I
didn't
Gap
want to
was
do
in
Gap.
it too. Yeah.
And I didn't want to do Gap. And Gap
Feinberg was a Gap guy, wasn't he?
I think so. Budnick was also. But Gap was trying to get Blake. And I said, no, I'd rather you get paid less but ride Levi's. He goes, really? Okay, yeah. And then a year later, the Gap folded. So he ended up working 3 years for Blake, so he ended up winning, you know?
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to sell out. You got to make a living.
Yeah, of course.
Right? But if I could, I always tried to ride something that meant something to me. Or that was close to me. Or So rollerblade to me was like McDonald's.
Yeah.
So I'd rather not go that corporate, I'd rather go smaller.
You'd rather the deli on the corner rather than McDonald's.
That's right.
Yeah, cool.
This guy doesn't order from Pizza Hut. He goes to the real Italian dude.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Geno's.
I do. No, but that's how it always was. And if I could get away with that, if I could do that, I would.
Yeah.
Trying to think if I've had any sponsors I just didn't give a shit about and just took the money. I don't know. I've done shows.
Yeah.
I've done shows in weird places and
take the money and run. Do your shoelaces up on the back corner and don't do it.
NASCAR. Me and Shane did the shows at NASCAR. This NASCAR event in Redneckville.
What's that like? What about Redneckville? Are they
it's like what you see on the TV.
Yeah, okay.
It is like that.
Yeah.
They're like trapped in the 80s. Mullets with the cigarettes tucked into their shirts, the multicoloured shirts.
So Chapel Street on a Wednesday, basically.
I don't know. I don't know about that. But it was crazy. And I mean, we've done shows everywhere.
Yeah.
Hawaii, here and there. So that was a beautiful thing about skating too. It took us to so many places in the world that we'd never go, never be able to afford to go.
Yeah.
That we never even knew existed. And made friends, showed out what we did. We went to Malaysia, we went to Thailand, we went to all over. And all over Europe as well. And I was talking with Tim last night, and Tim's like, man, I really regret not being able to go to all these places.
Yeah.
Not making the most of the time. Because my first 4 years of skating, I was so focused on skating and what I had to do. I'd be going to the ramp, to the hotel.
And back, and that's it.
And I'm in Paris, and I'm like going from the ramp to the hotel and not seeing anything.
How was the Eiffel Tower? I don't know.
We were next to the Eiffel Tower, so I saw it every day. But you know, that's what we did everywhere we went, and we just focused on. I mean, Shane, I'd be in the hotel. Shane be in the hotel in Paris with Mark Engelhardt.
Yeah.
With hoodies on, playing video games all night.
Yeah.
Let's get out.
You're talking about like, were you at the X Air in New Zealand?
Yeah. Which one?
The one where Shane and Mark were playing video games.
games.
I went to that one. I was like, what's the deal with these guys, man? For real, like Mark was pretty chill. Yossi was. I'm not here to fraternize and enjoy the free bourbon and cokes that go on the after party every night of the event. He was here to win, and so he did.
So around '99, I think I started like going to places.
Actually, no, he didn't mark one.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
He didn't, yeah. So around 99, I started saying, I'm going to go to these places. I'm going to take camera, photos, video. I'm going to enjoy it. I'm going to go see the ghettos. I'm going to go see the nice parts, the museums, the parks. And then that's what I started doing for whatever years after that. But the first few years, it was just, I was so focused on skating. I didn't care.
Tell me, which of the countries and communities you visited and experienced were the ones that had a different attitude towards skating and their style was significantly different to everyone else's? Like, say, for example, I would suggest that the French have a big emphasis on aerial amplitude, and the Japanese have a very big emphasis on finesse in their grinds. And, for example...
Australians are ATV, you skate everything, right?
Yeah. Kiwis the same. Kiwis can skate pretty much everything.
ATV, well put. But yeah, was there any specific community where you're like, you know what, these guys like skating the way I like skating? Even if it wasn't like a country or whatever, just a group of people?
The Aussies.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, when I don't get inspired from too many people where I want to skate. But when I see Salerno skate, or I saw Edwards or Manuel skate, I'd want to skate.
Edwards isn't Australian, just for the record, if anyone's like, you know what?
But with all there's just the Australian vert scene in general, with the guys from Manly Blades, with Scotty, with the guys from, what was it called? Apache. Tom Fry and all the boys. Like, when I saw them I saw the Manly guys do Coca-Cola shows. Before I even knew what skating was, I was like, what the hell? They're going over each other. What are they doing? A backflip, whoa. When I saw stuff like that, that was impressive. The Europeans, vert skaters, they skated like that roller skate style, a lot of them. There's a couple of them, like Rafael Sandoz, had a beautiful style, really high, smooth. In America, it was Chris Edwards. There wasn't another Chris Edwards after that, It was obviously street dominated, but there wasn't another. There was a lot of good vert skaters, but there wasn't another
game-changing person until maybe the Yasutokos took it to like a higher level, but not so much with creativity. They just took amplitude a bit further. Yeah,
they took amplitude. I think the ramps got bigger by the time they were good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
their wheels and bearings, technology, it
supported them,
and the size of the ramps, because we were starting to get into 15-foot ramps, like big ramps, where if you hit the sweet spot, you're flying.
Yeah.
So all the ramps were big wherever we went.
Do you think if Mega Ramp was around when you were around, you would have done some stuff?
Oh.
And that is to say, not if, but what?
Everything.
Yeah.
I would have been an idiot and tried to do everything. How high could I do it? Definitely a backflip.
Launch ramps and stuff. Like you would have tried some stuff over the launch as well. Do you reckon you would have?
I would have used it just for speed.
Okay.
No. The launch ramp is the roundabout.
Yeah. All right.
That's the roundabout. How to navigate through it. But the end goal was the whole purpose of that ramp is how high you can go.
So you've done 900s over launch boxes, but still, nothing. You wouldn't be interested in.
No, because there's something else waiting for me down the bottom.
Okay.
That's going to give me that ultimate high. That's
a speed bump on the way through. Okay.
No, that I would learn how to maximize my speed on that thing for the end goal. The end goal would have been how high I could do a 1080 or how high I could do a backflip, or just the highest air you can just
do.
The
launch ramp is simply to shift gears.
Yeah.
That's all it is. To me, that's how I see it.
Yeah.
It's cool they do stuff over it, but what's it for? What's the size of this ramp for? Why is it downhill? Why is there a ski jump at the top? Why is the ramp 30 foot high? It's maximum height. We're not going to start grinding on it, are we? For fuck's sake.
No, man.
You know what I mean?
I saw an alley topsoil on that Mega Ranch ramp the other day.
By not a vert skate.
I'm going to say Johnny's a vert skater.
No, I'm going to call him there.
You can do grinds on it. Yeah. So if you're going to do that, why don't we do it?
Son of Alan Varno. So this is Johnny just So
that's okay. Now I understand.
Yeah. You got out of this one, Johnny. So Johnny is the classic ATV.
I love Alan Barner. He was one of the nicest guys ever. He could squeeze you to death with one hand. He was so strong, but he was the nicest guy. Anyway, let's go back to this. Let's imagine a mega ramp where you're coming down the hill but sideways, and the coping's 60 foot long.
Yeah.
All right, now let's grind. And then what's on the end of it?
A drop.
Into something.
We're talking
something that
parts.
catches you.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. Then you can grind on it. But if you're talking about what's there now, or the DC mega ramp, you're just going for one hit, as high as you can go. What can you do that high? That's it. We did the Guinness Book of Records on top of the Hard Rock Cafe in Las Vegas, where Danny Way jumped out of the helicopter into the ramp.
So he did a helicopter jump into a ramp, and then he did the Hard Rock Cafe off the guitar.
Oh, that would have been
the guitar neck. Oh, it's a different Hard Rock Cafe scenario. Yeah.
But so that was I don't know if that was 20 foot or whatever. But the three roll-ins and the top roll-in, it was windy because we're on the roof, and it was one panel and there's no rail, and you go down. That's when you got to really tighten up your skates, and that's why I had those Velcro straps on the front of my skates, because your feet are going like that all the way down. I wasn't even pumping to do the air, because if I pumped, I was scared I was just going to end up like over there somewhere. And we're going, because you're going higher than you've ever gone, like you're not familiar with it.
Yeah, it's a new territory.
If I pop out this much on that ramp, it's going to be this much. And a few people landed actually on the coping.
Was that Jake Brown's skateboarding fall, right?
Well, that thing.
Yeah.
I mean, he could have died.
Yeah.
He's lucky that he turned that last second onto his back.
Yeah.
He's smaller than I am.
Yeah.
And he could have.
Oh man, he's.
I thought he was dead.
Yeah, that was such a big fall.
That's why I was saying before. It's getting Evel Knievel style. It's getting to a point where, what do they want to see?
Well, someone died in the X Games in our lifetime. I always said it would happen, but some guy tried to front flip a snowmobile.
Yeah.
So in the Winter X Games, he
died.
Yeah, didn't die on the spot. Was hospitalised and didn't recover.
Yeah.
And that was the first X Games death, and I think still the only one. But that was after Jake Brown, and I thought Jake Brown was going to be the first, and then he got up and shook it off.
There's got to be a level of measured calculation and a point that it is no longer feasible to push it past there. But at what point does that exist? Because
when something happens.
You broke your wrist, and what was it that caused that again?
I broke my arm.
You broke your arm?
And wrist at the same time. 540 disaster.
Yeah, okay.
So you live by the sword, you die by the sword. And it wasn't even a high one. It was a little one. At the end of my run, so what happened was...
X Games in Melbourne or something?
Yeah, I was lifting too much weights at the time. I was 10 kilos heavier than I am now. And that's, for me, I'm not big bone, I've got small wrists, small joints, but I was carrying too much weight. Everyone's skating the ramp fine. I'm struggling to air and spin because I had so much weight that I wasn't used to carrying before. And I was thinking, is this ramp shit? They're like, no, it's awesome. I'm like, man, I just can't skate it properly. And then the end of the run, I was like, I'm going to finish it off at 540, and I barely had the legs to do it. I did it. It wasn't even a big fall. It was the perfect fall, where I landed backwards on my elbow first, which is what broke my arm, or my wrist first, then my elbow, then my head. But I got stuck on the coping and flipped over backwards.
Yeah.
And my arm was like that. And everyone thought I was mucking around, because what I used to do a lot of was I used to slam and just act like, and people used to run on it. I used to scare them, and I used to do this in comps in America, everywhere. After that, I never did it again.
The man who cried wolf.
Yeah. People would come on and be like, is he faking? Are you faking, Cess? I'm like, my arm's over here somewhere. I'm not faking this time, And then, so Brad Watson has a twin brother. Yeah, how do I know? Because Brad Watson got knocked out.
At the same comp.
The same comp.
Yeah. Like,
he was in the hospital.
Sliding across the bottom of the ramp.
He got taken to the hospital. I was at, when I, was in the bed, Brad Watson comes to me. It wasn't Brad Watson, it was his brother. Brad Watson comes to me and goes, hey, you alright, man? You alright? I'm like, yeah, man. Are you, what happened? No, I saw you get, no, I'm his brother. I go, what do you mean? He I'm his twin brother. I go, no, you're not. I didn't know if I was dazed or not.
This is a hell of a head injury.
That's when I found out he had a twin brother. I had no idea. No clue.
Sick.
And I'd known him for years.
Yeah.
Sick.
No clue.
Yeah, that was an eventful day down at the Docklands.
That was a bad one.
Yeah. X Games. X Air.
So if we're talking about the balance of style and technicality, there's a fine line. Because what used to happen was guys would be getting away with doing this super cool, stylish 360s.
Yeah.
Which a 360 is easy to make look stylish. And guys that were going harder, Jason Stinsman on a barrel box did a backflip to a soul grind.
Yeah.
And he didn't win. Because some guy did something else that looked unreal. Come on, man. Like there's got to be, you got to reward
Difficulty.
Yeah.
Breaking barriers to something super stylish. Dustin Latimer, stylish as all hell, but look what he was doing. Crazy hard tricks as well.
Yeah.
He wasn't doing easy stuff. And the speed he was doing it at, right? Aragon. I don't know. See, I missed that whole... I saw the beginning of it.
Yeah.
He travelled into the comps I was going to at the beginning. Nice guy, skating awesome. Then he got big when I stopped skating and I kind of lost track. I look back now and people were saying that he cops a lot of shit and people call him this and that. He's robotic. And
Robotic, if that's the biggest flaw one
why?
can have.
Because he skates completely clean and like amazing skating. Like I'd love to skate street like that.
And it's the je ne sais quoi. You have it, but or you don't, but it's not something you can work on. Tim had it. So we were saying to him, he made it look human.
Yeah.
Versus Aragon. So Tim said Aragon's one of his favourite people to see skate. And we were like, the differences between Aragon and you that made us like him.
Yeah.
Like, he looked human in that it didn't look perfect. It looked like he was holding it together, but doing a good job of it. Same as yourself. Like, it was very calculated, constructed. You weren't all over the place. It was, but you were still not skating in your comfort zone.
Yeah.
You were pushing yourself to the edge of it. And you were in control of it, and you could see that it was a challenge. Sometimes funny. Aragon makes it look not like a challenge, and it's a testament to him.
Yeah.
But it's not something that the people...
It shouldn't be downplayed.
It doesn't resonate with people as much because it's like, oh, well, that was perfect. As opposed to, wow, you can almost see the part where he lost it, but he didn't.
I don't understand that. And it's funny you say that because I had a kid who knew me when I was learning to skate. Sketchy, throwing sevens like crazy.
Uh-huh.
Then he didn't see me for a few years. In '98, he came to the ramp and watched me skate. And I was doing everything super smooth and high. And he's like, man, I think you used to skate better before. I go, what are you talking about? When you knew me, I was like all over the place. But he felt that danger that I wasn't going to land it, but I did land it. And I was all over the place. But when I was so much smoother, he didn't like it. He goes, I think you used to skate better before.
Like a drum machine sounds good, but I'd rather see a drummer almost in time.
Yeah, it's funny that, like, but then you mentioned Latimer, right? So the way you watch him skate, and he almost had that edge of like that little bit of craziness as well, and by doing the hardest tricks, fastest ever, but it's that little bit of humanity that makes it like this greatest of all time or whatever. Like people will talk about him as the best or one of the top five. Like he's one of the guys
for sure,
and that's what it is. And like going to the Yasutokos, like they're fucking incredible, but at the same time, sometimes I watch them and I'm like, yeah. But it's so...
We judge them against
them. They could do...
We judge them against themselves.
Exactly.
I could... Sometimes I talk too much. I could get Takeshi skating right now and make him so much better.
Yeah.
There's so many things that he does that I'm like, why?
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on.
No, please.
Please, I like this. This is what we're here for.
This is the core.
No.
Of what
I don't want to get into that. They've been great ambassadors.
For example, what's one thing you would tell Takeshi?
Spins.
What? Adjust how?
The laid out flat, like washing machine, tumbly things. He could clean. He's got so much time there to clean that up so much better. He's been doing it for how long?
Yeah.
Change it, tuck it.
Do something, tweak it out in some way.
Yeah, okay. But why would you when there's no competition when?
Well, that's exactly it.
Birds dead. Like why bother? Like there's no one pushing you. There's not. If I get my hip fixed, I'm going over there for 6 months and I'm going to push him. But
There's something in the artist that wants to do that. And it grinds his gears when he sees someone driving a kick-ass car.
I like that. His eyes lit up as well. That was good. You can see it.
No, it's true. Because
you got all the time in the world to do those grabs. God damn it, grab it, son.
Just change it. Just do different things. You can always do better.
Yeah.
I look at some of my best skating, and I think, I could have done that. And I wish I didn't break my arm. So I could get to that level to do that. I never got to the point where I was like, I didn't hit my peak. Like, you know what I mean?
But you were never comfortable with hitting a ceiling. You were going to be like, cool, I'm going to push through the next one and the next one.
Well, you know, I was...
So to speak, the Vert X1.
Yeah, you can't break through that. You can try.
So, like, for example, in one of the gravity games, all the top guys were falling, and I think it was at that time I had food poisoning, and all the top guys were falling. Mike Budney goes, just do a normal run and you'll get a medal. And it was big money. It was 30 grand first place. American 30 grand, which was 45 at the time. Whatever. Did I do it? No. I went there. For it. I wanted to do my forwards 900 to 1080 to fakie 9 to fakie 7 to work blah 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 blah. I fell on the forwards 9 in the first run. Mike goes, just play it safe. No, I fell on 1080 on the second run.
And did you change your attitude after that?
No, I never played it safe. I tried to always just leave it all there and go for it. You know, like when I broke my arm, physically I always recovered good from injuries. I've always been healthy. So when I broke my arm, I was back in the gym pretty quickly. I started doing boxing, but not actually hitting with my left arm because of the impact, but just doing it's basically learning the
maneuver.
footwork.
Yeah.
So hard. It was a lot harder than I thought. But anyway, what was I saying?
So coming back from that.
Oh yeah. Mentally, it took me all year to get my confidence back. Mentally, it was so hard to go to the Van skate park in California and near Disneyland and throw a Elliott 360 or a 540. I was stressing so hard.
Thinking of the worst case scenario.
Physically, I was good.
Yeah.
But to get mentally, it was so hard.
Someone asked me how I did a trick the other day. These kids freaking out. How did you do that? It's like, well, physically or mentally? He's like, mentally. It's like, oh, cool, yeah. Cool. I can understand you asking that because it's not as obvious. But was there anything was there a mental game that you struggled with in tricks where you like...
No, just myself.
Just apart from your trauma with your arm, were you relatively fearless?
Beyond what I should have been. Like, that's how I hurt myself a few times. But stupid things. Like, I'll be so nervous, not who I was skating against. Am I going to fall on that first wall?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or am I going to pop out? I just watched some run someone put up of one of my X Games runs, and it was a good run. I didn't even remember this. I popped out on a 540. Landed a 1080 and everything. Popped out on a 540, killed my whole run. I didn't remember it. And it's things like that you have nightmares about because it kills your whole run. It's just... I skated against Manuel in the first X Games. First wall, bang, bail, done. That's your worst fear because the roll-ins started getting bigger. So you're coming off big roll-ins and boof, launching off, you're thinking, you know, you're doing everything just to land that first air.
Yeah.
So it's simple things
Critical.
like you're stressing over like just landing your airs. That's why I'd let go of some early. Like I'd go up, I'd feel it, but I'm popping out. I'd let this one go so I can get the next one.
So
little things like that I would worry about.
You haven't skated for a while, obviously, like your hip and stuff. Do you miss like just a session, Bondi vert ramp, 3 PM, Sunday, that kind of thing? Like, is that,
Well, that's why I put my skates on last year when I went to Queensland to test myself to see. I couldn't really do anything, and the guys were really good. I asked them not to film anything.
Yeah.
And they were any little thing I did, they were encouraging. They were like, "Oh, that was like classic success." I'm like, I wish I could skate for you guys how I used to skate, but I just can't. I can't move my hip in certain directions. I can't. I just can't. Going fakie when you got that right leg forward, and you're taking like a lunge.
Yeah.
So that frustration because you can't skate the way you want, is that going to result in you not really skating at all? Or
I just can't.
Yeah.
I just can't.
What about cruising just down the beach or
No,
whatever?
I can't because any lateral movement that's,
Okay, cool.
that's sudden or...
So what's your exercise
I could do it, but probably bad. I could do it, but not well. And if I can't... People that know me know if everything I do it like well, if I can. Like the best I can. I don't... It's all or nothing. So I couldn't play soccer properly, I stopped. That was it. I had 2 donks in front of me that I could just skin if I wanted, and I couldn't. Because I had this hip thing. And once it got to that point, my dad's like, well, why don't you just get the ball and just play it off? Get the ball, because that's not how I play. I don't want to get home with a dry shirt, you know? So I just stopped playing. And with skating, if I can't do it like how I used to do it, I don't want to do it.
What do you do for an outlet now? Like if you like...
So I learned to skip.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I learned to... Because that's a straight thing. Actually, skipping doesn't bother me much at all.
Uh-huh.
I run, but on the treadmill, or I run up hills.
Uh-huh.
Because uphill, it's
less impact.
It's less impact.
Yeah.
You're kind of trudging your way up. You're not slapping you.
Yeah.
You know, so I can handle that. And it's...
There's no lateral movement either, right?
You can't run fast enough uphill to be a sprint.
Uh-huh.
So I can only get up to about 80% sprint, and then my leg doesn't go anymore.
Uh-huh.
Anything that's sharp, like basketball, for example, wouldn't be good. Any sudden movements on certain days. Sometimes I feel really good and loose. Other days I feel super tight, and it's just worthless. It's like I don't even... Once I learnt what I had and how to deal with it, there's days off, like today was a day off, so all I did was like mobility exercises and...
You know that there's some days where you're like, I'm not going to be progressing by going harder. You need those rest days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, so I try to run every second day now, and I know the next day I won't be able to run because it's inflammation and just can't do it.
How old are you now?
49.
49. And so that's from the age of 23. That's 26 years.
Yeah, but I've never used age as an excuse. My hip, if someone gave me a magic, took me somewhere and zapped it and gave me a magic hip, I'd be tomorrow on the ramp. And by, what's tomorrow?
Tomorrow's
Thursday.
Yeah.
By Saturday afternoon, I'll be doing just about all my spins and airs except for 1080s and just loving life again, like running every day, doing everything I did. Like my lungs, my left hip, everything else is fine. It's just the one hip, and it's in a central area with all the psoas muscles. It's connected to the lower back and the abductors, and you can't do anything. It just freezes you up. There was a point I couldn't jump to a bar.
Wow.
It was like that explosive. I couldn't do it.
I was getting Uber to the bars.
To the bars, yeah, or home at least.
You're a cyclist as well?
No, I'm not a cyclist, no.
But you have a bike and that's
You
how
don't have the lycra and stuff,
No,
and cruise
no.
out of that?
That's
Have
the
a bike
wheel.
and
The
I'm
latte?
like-
That's your wheel now.
Yeah.
Well, because I lost my license for 3 months.
Oh, really?
That's why I had a lot of bike shots on Instagram.
Interesting.
So I was getting around on my bike, which was good, perfect weather, good exercise. That doesn't bother me that much either for my hip. It's actually probably good. But yeah, I'll ride from...
You're not a cycling enthusiast, but that's your...
Nah,
that's
I like
your-
bikes, so I always used to ride bikes when I was a kid. I'll ride it to the beach, I'll ride it into the city. I'll go long distances, whatever, but I don't do the in a file with my lycra
With other riders.
Yeah.
Sometimes I skip red lights and stuff, you know.
They're all
I
good,
ride my
man.
bike how I would skate, how I would run around the streets.
Yeah,
If
yeah.
there's a gap, I go through it. If there's too much traffic, I go on the footpath. If it's not on the footpath, I just cross this way. It's freedom. Put my bike down, go in a shop, eat, keep going, don't wear a helmet. Like, it's just freedom for me. It's like...
Something about
Enjoy.
navigating a skate park makes navigating traffic on a
Oh, it's so much fun, man. I love it.
game.
Yeah.
I've always liked being on the road. I used to skate on the road all the time. And in New York, you take a few tumbles. And
That's the funnest place to skate, like in the traffic in New York. Just
Oh, I
even
love it.
skateboarding
Yeah,
around that.
I loved
place.
it.
It's one of my favourite things ever, just like going through a city and just putting your skates on and exploring it. Like, you know, some of the best time skating is just mashing down Swanson Street or something, or like, you know, through the city in Sydney and just cruising off through people who they get confused because you're just cruising through them really fast or you're going fakey or whatever, and they're like, holy shit, what's going on? But you can sort of read the crowd and you're like, there's a gap, and you just take that opportunity. It's so much fun.
Did you experience that much as young? Like, well, I was gonna say as a youngster, when you were 23, did you like smash through the streets with the crew?
All the time.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
Like, all the time. I used to skate. I used to drive with my skates on because the shop was at Burwood.
Yeah.
Closed at 4. To get to Bondi was about 40 minutes. gets sea salty and slippery about 6 o'clock. So I had a good hour that I could skate. This is how desperate I was. Like, this is how much I just love to skate. Put my skates on in the shop, put my knee pads on, everything. Drive my Celica with kids in the back, the little skater kids in the back, in front of the shop. Drive there, park anywhere on Bondi Road, bomb the hill, skate for as long as we could, skate back up, drive them home. You know, and we used to do that all the time. We'll meet up. We used to meet up Wednesday night, city skates. Skate around Circular Quay, over the bridge, through the city, Martin Place. And it was some of the funnest times when you think back your memories, your fun times, skating. We used to go to the top of the art gallery. There's an entrance into the Botanical Gardens.
Yep.
Yeah. And the Botanical Gardens closes at a certain time. And it's pitch black. And so we'd all jump over. And one guy would have a torch at the front. If you didn't keep up with the line,
good luck.
all you hear is, like, you're skating down shit, and you hear him crashing into a tree or something. And we'd have to, and that would take you to the Opera House steps. And so you'd always be waiting like 5-10 minutes for
whoever
crashed to catch up. And then we'd do the Opera House steps. Sometimes with the security guards chasing us down the steps, we'd be doing the Opera House steps, going to Darling Harbour, getting chased out of there, going to Martin Place. Security guard comes this way, we'd go the other way. It was fun. It was awesome. Like, that's some of my best memories.
We don't get chased as much on the Melbourne Free Ride.
No, it's a bit more subdued and like I got a really good story about this. So they have one in Melbourne
because we got hills.
So
it becomes a bit more.
Well, it was more fun, but we've got we'll go on this one on a Wednesday night. I call it the Dork Skate. I'll be honest, because it's a bit flat and a bit like it's interesting people.
It's
very beginner friendly. It's everyone from experts.
It's good, but it's so funny. So Chris goes, I'm just gonna gap this stair set, and this dude's got a torch and stuff, and he's like, don't go on the road, man. I'm like, dude. We have that. Yeah. I'm like, honestly, man, I'm going to stand here on the road because my friend's about to jump off that into the road. And if I don't tell him it's okay to go, he's going to get hit by a car. So this guy's like, just couldn't comprehend it and was standing the landing. Then all of a sudden, Chris just was like, boom, bang, and just lands. So he's like, oh, okay, yeah, well, keep going like this with the torch.
Have those guys, maybe an accountant.
Yeah.
Be like, don't, excuse me, don't deface the rail. Or,
Don't
do this or that. It was funny. But they were the best times. You just skate everywhere.
Yeah.
And you'd skate 2 spots.
Yeah.
And you'd skate to the mini, you'd go street skating, then you'd go to the vert, and whoever didn't ride vert, they just sit and watch. Then you'd all go to the mini, go for a swim, whatever.
ATV, mate.
Yeah, that's it.
Australian.
That's it. Australian AATV, Australian all-terrain vehicle. Yeah. That should be it. Like, that's really cool, man.
No, it was a beautiful time because there was no blueprint. We didn't know what we were doing. We didn't know what was next. We didn't know what was around the corner. So every trick that we invented was the future. Never been done before.
Yeah.
Right? We didn't know, like, a guy said to me, you should go to America and make money, get sponsored. I'm like, are you crazy? How the hell am I going to go to America and make money? How does that work? I had no idea. I had no clue about that. I skated because I just loved it. You know when you play table tennis, you get into 3 months of table tennis and you can't stop. You just love it because it's so... That was skating to me. And I was playing soccer at the same time. And I'm lying in bed at nights thinking more about skating tricks than I was about soccer, which is rare for me. And I realised, shit. I came up against a bad coach. He's an idiot. We had an issue. I said, see you later. He goes, yeah, you're not leaving. I left. That was my last game of soccer. And because I had an invite to go to the X Games, the first X Games. Luckily, well, not luckily, Scotty broke his coccyx, so I got to take his place, and so that's how I got my chance to go to the first X Games ever, which we didn't even know. I said, what is that? He said, it's like the Olympics but for extreme sports. I was like, oh, am I good enough to go? Like, who's got, like, what's it? I didn't understand. I didn't have any money. You understand, me and Manuel went over. I don't know how much money Tim had, probably not much.
So Tim got injured and Scott got injured, and subsequently...
No. Scott got injured here,
oh,
which I took his place. Me and Manuel had $400 in our account. Nothing. I don't know how much Tim had, because he was young too. Tim got injured there. Remember when I said we were the first to go trial the ramps?
Yeah.
So we were trialing the ramps, and he went off to test the street course, and he buckled his ankle. And that's why he couldn't skate. And he was skating awesome. He was big McTwist.
Man, Matt totally said he was going to win.
Matt Salerno.
Yeah, he was like, man...
Yeah, but you know what pissed everyone off? When he won the street, he said, tomorrow I'm going to win the vert. And then everyone took it personal.
Oh. Well, they bloody should have, because Australians tend to do that. They tend to be alright on both.
Yeah.
But that was a weird. Again, you didn't know what that was. They didn't even know what it was because it was built. It was done in a fort. Did you ever see the footage? It was actually done in a fort.
The actual
the event,
the whole event, or
yeah.
I've seen it.
No, the whole event.
Yeah, okay.
Providence, well, except for the downhill. And
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
The whole all the ramps and the street courses
Uh-huh.
and all that were done inside a fort.
Yeah.
And Providence, Rhode Island gets dewy around 8 o'clock at night, misty and everything. So we couldn't skate it in the afternoon. They'd have to postpone events and do it the next day, and then wipe the ramps down. And so it's things you
logistical nightmares
yeah.
that you didn't anticipate.
It was called the Extreme Games.
Yeah,
That
the
first year.
one.
Yeah.
First year. Yeah.
Extreme.
They had some pretty whack sports in that at the start too, like
Sky surfing.
Sky surfing.
Sky surfing teams.
Okay.
Where the cameraman got as many points as that.
Yeah.
The acrobat.
Okay.
There was bungee. as an
Bungee,
event.
yeah.
Freestyle bungee, where you try to do as many flips and
Yeah,
stuff.
I
on the
think
way
there
up
was
and
rock
down.
climbing, I think.
Yeah, rock climbing races.
Street luge.
The downhill was funny. The downhill, they had the local guy, you got to pump up your local hero.
Yeah.
And he was called Captain Midnight, and he had the leathers. He had motorcycle leathers, motorcycle helmet, and he had the handbrakes that went to his skates. But he wasn't a good skater.
I was going to say this is 100% novelty.
He wasn't a good
Yeah,
skater.
skill.
He ate shit, and Brooke Howard Smith almost ate shit straight after him, had to jump him. And you know who made the finals, but then they kicked him out, I think? Ivano. Because Ivano was like...
Ivano?
Ivano Gagliardo.
Yeah.
From Switzerland. Because he does that in Switzerland. But what he did, he had a big butt, right? And he was a solid guy, short but stocky. He would just go... Boom.
Yeah.
He was knocking everyone over. And all the speed races in
This is
Lycra.
before Derby was...
This is where he had the big shorts, but he had the hip pants underneath the
He
shorts.
had hockey shorts
yeah,
on there.
yeah.
Oh, man.
And he had I think he had the aggressive skates on and everything. And Arlo did it too. And everyone was complaining about this guy, all the Lycra boys, the racers were complaining about this guy that was knocking everyone over. So he made the final 8 or whatever, but I think they didn't let him race or something.
Wow.
What do you think? Have you seen like the crashed ice stuff, the Red Bull crashed ice, and like the downhill like
Ice
Oh,
skating.
ice
race.
skating stuff?
Oh, in like a luge thing.
Yeah.
It's like so they kind of go
Ice
down
cross.
and it's like jumps and stuff and whatever.
Yeah.
Because I think Takeshi or
Yeah.
went into that.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Takeshi and Yo-Yo... Was it Johanny Velasquez?
Yeah.
Oh, Richie's son.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Is he doing
Richie's
that?
He
son
did really well.
is competing on the world stage with Woodward written all over his jersey.
Yeah.
And
How old is he now?
20 something.
When he was like
no doubt
5 or 6.
I'd be like 17 or something, I reckon, man.
on the world
yeah,
stage
like he's
doing it.
Yeah.
You know, grew up with skates.
Yeah, well, he
on
grew
his
up
feet.
at
Yeah. So yeah,
That's good.
Johanny, man.
Can I say I've been looking at, because I'm learning Instagram and looking at where skating is at now. It's pretty crazy. The street stuff's awesome. Like, I love it.
Well, it's funny
I saw a video of Sean Kelso, and I had to ask Tien,
Yeah.
who the hell that guy was. I couldn't believe what I was watching. It was one Winter Clash, and do you remember that one? Winter Clash 11 or something. There's the rail, and there's the rail, and then the ledge.
Yeah.
He kills it 20 different ways.
Is it
Oh, yeah.
the down
Pinnacle.
rail and the down ledge?
It's a
Yeah,
pinnacle.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if
He's
it's
got the
Pinnacle.
camo pants on.
Yeah, it's pinnacle.
I reckon it's a Be Unique thing.
Nah,
No,
it's
what'd you say?
pinnacle. It's pinnacle.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. It's a
He kills it stylishly but aggressively, like 20 different ways. I'm thinking, hold on, am I watching the same? Oh no, that's not the same trick. What the hell? He just did this and hard, but
Yeah.
stylish, like
Yeah,
sick.
yeah.
I never heard of the guy. I never knew who he was. I had to ask Tien, then I looked him up, and I actually messaged him. I said, mate, blew my mind.
Good for you,
And
man.
Yeah.
But then he writes back on, mate, I was so inspired by you growing up, blah, 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 blah. I was like,
No doubt.
but
Yeah,
I
yeah,
watched this
yeah.
guy, I was like, fuck, that was sick.
It's
Yeah.
a cool
That
time
was
to be
insane.
alive, man. Like,
Yeah.
you and I hit up each other on social media, and in 2020 you can do that. You can just
Yeah.
say, hey, man,
Well, how did,
I like
how
what you
did
did
we
in 97.
how did we come about?
I'll tell you how. So this guy posted a picture of him doing a stale mute grab, but the trick didn't have a name at the time. And I'm like, someone else is doing that grab! And it was in the context of, I used to do this grab, but I didn't even know what it was called because no one else did it. And I'm like, 20 years later, I'm doing that. I don't know what else it's called. So we're renaming it the cesspool.
The cesspool.
Stale mute. If anyone wants to patent it, you better talk to our lawyers.
Yeah.
See, Instagram is wonderful like that.
Yeah, and
I've seriously okay, so I was detached from skating, detached from social media, I was living life, trying to, and then my girlfriend was like, you got so much to tell and whatever, just go on Instagram. I'm like, you don't understand what you're opening here, the Pandora's box you're opening. She goes, what do you mean? And I started posting small, and just a couple of photos, and mate, I got bombarded, and she's like, what the hell? She's trying to get followers. I'm not trying to get followers. Yeah. I don't want people to follow. I've got no time. And she's like, what the hell's going on? I go, I told you, you don't understand.
You don't know who I am.
I was bigger than artists.
Bigger than Jesus.
But it's been beautiful. I've met so many people on there.
Well, you're a storyteller, obviously.
Yeah.
And you told it well.
Well, I just put a couple of descriptions of the first ones. And people just really...
It resonated.
Connected.
I was shocked people even... Okay, I thought they'd remember me a little bit, but the newer generations even knew who I was. Or that any of us were. I was shocked.
And I think possibly because the newer generation has the internet, so has everything at their fingertips if they want it.
And their hunger for anything that's sentimental or from that time.
That's nostalgic.
Nostalgic from the 95, 94 to 99, whatever. Like, it's insane. Look, okay, I got to make an admission here.
Because that was the boom. That was when we were bigger than all the other.
And there's so many people coming back to it as well, right?
The skateboarders were pissed off because we were making more money than them. So when I moved garages, I had all my skates. I threw stuff away before I started posting pictures that I'm not going to say what it was. And people were like going ape shit over a sticker. I'm like, if you knew what I just threw away in that bin, you'd kill me.
It's always like that. Hindsight, we don't realise that I'm going to want this when I'm old. Like that toy you had when you were 10.
That's true.
That video game you had when you were 12. The little dolly you had when you were 2.
I don't know, man. I'm looking around your room here. You've got a lot of nostalgia's kind of...
Yeah, this is a skater's house.
There's some stuff that I managed to keep, and there's some stuff that I still didn't throw away. Fortunately, my friend said, "Here, do you want my old Majestic 12s?" I'm like, "Yes, please," because I threw mine out. Even if they were scuffed and wrecked, I'd still want them today. I got my friend cool, so that's alright.
Well, I posted up pictures of what I had in the intention of like, okay, before I pack all these away, I'm going to just take a photo of what I have. I had like 50, 60 skates in my garage. Boxes of wheels and everything else.
You had 50 or 60 pairs of skates in your garage. Wow.
And then I just got smashed. And I didn't even know how to use the Instagram that well at the time. I didn't know what was going on. And people were like, oh, So it turned out, instead of moving for a week, I spent a week packing stuff, sending it to Belgium, sending it to UK, sending it to America, sending it to everyone. Everyone got skates, wheels, stickers.
Wow.
All my helmets, gone. All my helmets gone, signed, gone. I had about 17 helmets or something. I had...
Did you happen to take any photos of the collection before it was all distributed over the world?
Yeah.
Like a photo of the 17 helmets, a photo of 50... Yeah. Good man.
Yeah. I'll post it on there if you scroll back enough. Or I can just pull them up here, but I didn't think it would be a big deal, like an old pair of K2s. People were going ballistic over these K2s.
Because it's childhood. It's not just like this was early in my life. It was when they were developing as a person.
It's because you sat there in like roll call and you had the Daily Bread, you had the 4 in a row, and you sat there and just stared at that picture in this magazine you got once every 6 months, and you had that for 6 months until the new one came out, and you just stare at it. And I could go through some of these magazines and recall photos of it, like the tiniest, stupidest little details, because it's just so built into my brain.
And we knew what song was with what section.
Yeah.
On
which
what
trip
video.
came after the next.
How do we end up listening to music we listen to?
Yeah.
Sorry?
How do we end up listening to the music we listen to?
Well, I listen to punk because of all these videos.
That's it.
And it's still my...
Rancid's my favourite band.
Is it?
God damn it. They don't even put out any good new music anymore. But
I was going to say.
It hooked me, line and sinker.
Yeah. No, it's been really good. Like, I reconnected with Tim yesterday. That was so good.
How long has it been since you've seen or hung out with him?
Like 20 years maybe.
No kidding.
It's been really... Cause he lost track. I lost track of him. I don't know what happened to him, after skating. A lot of skaters have the same issue. They get lost a little bit after skating.
It's like keeping up with college buddies, I guess.
I got in contact with Manuel 2 weeks ago. I haven't heard from him for years.
Wow.
People have contacted me. Oh, you did a show in Colombia in '97 in my village, and I'm like, how cool! And they got a photo of me with that person back in the day.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, man. I love it. I really love it. I don't do it for nothing to gain. I don't sell anything on there. I don't want any. I want 0 followers. I don't want any followers. I just want people to come past, have a look at, if you like it, have a look at it and move on. You know what I mean? I'm not doing it for followers. I'm not saying, please follow me, like me. I don't care. But I was shocked that they liked the little comments I was putting, and people would tell me the story about it. I'm like, oh shit, okay. And I'm getting personal messages about this. And I'm like, people, they're really into this.
Man, it's like, and it's a good attitude to have. You're not getting caught up that everyone's listening to your story. You're just enjoying that the story's getting told.
Oh, and I mean, if 10 people see it and they get something out of it, it's better than 1,000 people just skimming past it, for me.
That's like why we're here.
That's right.
If 10 of you are watching and watch the whole thing, that's sweet. So I don't want 100 people watching the first 10 minutes.
If you don't like it, then don't watch, I guess.
Should we finish it on that note?
Yeah.
Man.
Thank you.
Our tagline is like, and if you don't like what we are doing, don't forget to subscribe to one of the other channels.
Yeah.
But I feel like this is going somewhere.
Yeah, man.
This is pretty cool.
Thank you so much for taking the time too. Like
for hitting me up to say you were in town.
Yeah, I told you. Well, I gave you my
being
word.
back in the game.
Word?
You said
I give you my word.
For being back in the game and telling your stories again and telling it so humbly. Good for you, man.
Thank you for
It's good for the art.
Like,
it's good for the art. It's
everyone.
good for the game.
I think everyone in this room, man, is like, yeah, that's super, like for me, as a 12-year-old grommet, this is like a huge moment in my life.
12-year-old grommet, now he's twice my size.
I used to fast forward through all the red sections in my friends' tapes of the ASA broadcasts on Foxtel. But I definitely had time for the Aussies and anyone else who was doing lip tricks. So when you were, like I said, 540 to 360 back in, as a street skater, I'm like, let's see if he's going to like take it any further. When you started 180 back in, I was like, that's sick. Then you started 360 back in, I'm like...
Oh, I got to 540 back in.
Yeah?
Then
540 to 540.
Had a nice little slam. I was like, maybe not do that one.
No, good for you.
You had to find the balance if you did a trick that was going to slow you down in a run. So if I 540 back in, it would completely kill all your
That's
speed.
the end of
so
the
you had to
run
do
trick.
something that would keep your momentum up for the next one. So yeah. But beautiful years for me. I don't look back in misery or bitterness or anything. Beautiful years. Met a lot of good people, all around the world.
Someone said recently, what's the hardest thing about rollerblading? And they suggested the answer is knowing so many great people all over the world and not getting to hang out with them.
Nope, it's the ground.
No, that's not the ground, it's the people. Yeah. The hardest thing about rollerblading is knowing having so many great friends all over the world and not getting to hang with them.
Now, the hardest thing about rollerblading is you get older and you can't do it anymore like you used to.
And that's why our friend said what he said, because he's still 30-something.
Yeah, so all I can say to those people who are starting rollerblading, or so many people are picking it up again.
Yeah.
After, I haven't skated for 15 years, what do you... Man, get out there, do it, enjoy it. If you want to get to a good level, smash it. Like, give it all.
Yeah.
Or just enjoy it. Go to the park. There's levels to everything. What do you want to do? What are your expectations? You want to be mad? You want to be the man? Be original. Be original, push yourself, make the most of this opportunity, go hard, travel the world, do what CJ and Joe's doing and make the most. Otherwise, you want to be a park skater, you want to enjoy yourself. Come home happy, you've learned a new trick. Mikey Lynch, you know?
Yeah.
He gets stoked when he does this or that, he's learned a new trick.
You find your lane.
That's it, find your lane.
Everyone's got different limits, but just enjoy it. It's a beautiful thing, just enjoy it. You know, that's it. That's all I can say. Break the mold. Be original. Don't copy everybody. That's in life in general.
That's right.
Yeah.
Don't forget why we started this in the first place. Because it's fun. My name is Chris. I'm a wheel addict. This is my co-host, Paulie. Good.
That's where I'm at.
You're watching The Coping Box at The Coping Box Podcast.
If you don't like it, just remember, watch something else.
Alright. Yes! Thanks, Cess! Yeah!
Thanks, dude. Right. Done.
Alright. Cut! Fuck!